Welcome to Pantera Basketball Live. The Toronto Raptors with a gutsy, historical, ugly, but very beautiful win over the Philadelphia 76ers, over their franchise icon, Kyle Lowry, over their ex-coach, their championship coach, Nick Nurse. If you are a person who has championship nostalgia, there was a lot of then and now moments during this game. If you looked at the box score and you didn't see how many free throws there were in this game, holy 99 combined free throws in what felt like 1,000 combined foul calls. The Toronto Raptors have 3 players foul out of the game, and they already had 5 guys who were probably gonna be in the rotation, heavy rotation, out of the game because of injuries. The Sixers themselves came in with quite a few injuries of their own. Joel Embiid, Paul George. But coming into this game, if you looked at these 2 rosters and you felt that the Raptors were underdogs, you were correct. Vegas thought they were underdogs. On the road, the Sixers were favored to beat the Raptors based on the strength of the rosters because Vegas and the league in general don't know about Jonathan Mogbo. They don't know about Jamison Battle. They don't know about Jamal Shead. And if you didn't know about Jamison Battle, Jonathan Mogbo, and and Jamal Shead, I hope you do now because those are 3 rookies who came up huge, huge tonight. This game was not about what Scottie Barnes did. I'm very happy that he had a bounce back game. I thought he was much better than he was in the previous game. He wasn't great. He was not great. This is not as great as Scottie Barnes is going to be this year. This might end up becoming his 56th or 60th best game this year. I think he can do much more. But credit where credit is due. On a night where sometimes things are not falling for you, your jump shot is not feeling super nice, you're on a first half of a second night of a back-to-back, right? You might be thinking, trying to pull it together. You're super undermanned. You're a connective playmaker. You're not necessarily a downhill driver who can generate advantages out of thin air, and you're facing a coach who knows all your tendencies and Nick Nurse. This could have been a game where the Raptors could have mailed it in. Let's take a look at what happened tonight. This was ugly. I mean, this game started at 7 o'clock. It didn't end after 10 o'clock. I mean, that was insane. 76 field goals attempted apiece, which when's the last time you saw that? 15 three-pointers combined between the 2 teams. When's the last time you saw that? I mean, this is a game straight out of like 1992, if I've ever seen one. 53 free throws attempted for the Sixers. Unbelievable. 46 for the Raptors. The Raptors made more of their free throws, and thank God for that. Jakob Poeltl, who had a huge night. I mean, following what was effectively a disaster class in the previous game, he had a huge night tonight. I thought he was great defensively and offensively. He hit 9 of his 11 free throws, which is probably I'm going to guess that's about as many free throws as he's hit on that percentage. Super efficient. Scottie Barnes, also very efficient. 11 for 13 from the line, 8 for 11 from the field, nothing forced. The only 2 shots, well, he missed 1 shot inside the paint. Touch around the basket was much better. Didn't settle for too many dumb shots. Was willing to move things when it got too congested in the paint. Overall, I think he was good. Nothing miraculous from Grady Dick or Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell did hit a couple threes very early in the game, which was great to see. But he was relatively quiet the rest of the game. And he also fouled out, and Grady Dick fouled out. And of course, that meant you had to go to your bench. And man, the bench was so impressive tonight. Jamal Shead did have a couple of ugly turnovers. He had 7 turnovers tonight. For a guard, I got to tell you, he's going to look back on those. You know, Michael Grange, I think, was grilling him on his turnovers. He's going to have a lot of film to look at tonight. I wasn't upset about most of them. You know, there was a couple of sloppy ones, but there was one particular one, and we're going to look at it. We're going to see the film of it later in this live. We're going to be able to look at a little bit of film. We're also going to take your call-ins if you'd like to call in. Link in the description. What was really interesting was he had that turnover in the backcourt when Nick Nurse started to go to the press in the 4th quarter with his janky defense, and he's hitting the press, and then he's going into the zone. And the Raptors, of course, already have Jamison Battle out. Grady Dick wasn't on the court because he had 5 fouls, and Darko was trying to save him. He checks in. He picks up a foul relatively soon. So Obviously, if you follow basketball long enough, if you have a bunch of non-shooters on the court, zone them up, pack the middle, you're going to make it really difficult. And I think the Raptors moved the ball relatively well, and a lot of that came down to ball handling responsibilities by Jamal Shead, Davion Mitchell, and Scottie Barnes. So there was a turnover that he committed, and you know, you look at him, he's kind of holding the ball a little bit, and then he realizes, "Oh shoot, I got to go." And then he makes a pass and boom, it's a dunk the other way. And then the next time he gets it, you see him read the defense, he maps the court, he blitzes up the court, splits the double team like a 10-year veteran all-star, and then quickly gets down to the paint touch and dips and passes it off to Jakob Poeltl. I thought it was great. I thought he was so solid. There were moments, these are moments. You have DJ Carton on the court, and I don't think in a million years, the only player who didn't play tonight was Ulrich. And honestly, a few more fouls and he might have gotten into the game too. Who stuck out? Jamison Battle, 9 points in 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. If you want to take a look at the game flow, the Toronto Raptors were relatively connected in the first quarter. I mean, it was pretty much even Steven throughout the first quarter. And then you had this like surge in the second quarter, but it was still a game, right? 57-49 is still a game. And you felt like Philly was just knocking on the door, right? And again, you got to look at the rosters. You got to look at the rosters and say who's got more healthy bodies, who's got more experience. They've got Kyle Lowry, you've got Jamal Shead, right? These two are not the same, right? You got a veteran point guard who did a lot of veteran point guard things tonight. And they have Tyrese Maxey, who had an awful game tonight. And I think a lot of that had to do with Davion Mitchell. I think a lot of that did have to do with Jamal Shead. I think a lot of that had to do with the paint presence of Jakob Poeltl. And it was really like right there where you're hanging on the balance, 74-78, that the Raptors started to pull away, right? You got 82-76, 83-76, Scottie Barnes making free throws. And then you get Jamison Battle making 2 free throws. Scottie Barnes gets a dunk. And I just thought like right there, that's the game right there. You pulled away. That's the knockout blow. And then the rest of it, of course, the Sixers kept pace. The Raptors really struggled against the zone. They didn't get a single bucket for like 4 minutes, but ultimately they broke it through. My player of the game, who was I most impressed by tonight? Who do you think I was most impressed by? First of all, like who are you guys most impressed by tonight? I think the guy I was absolutely most impressed by, Tariq saying shout out Chris Boucher, loved his energy. Absolutely. Chris Boucher really, he got picked by Kyle Lowry. That was a mistake he made. There's a couple of shots where you're like, what are you doing? But man, his energy was unmatched. I thought he was amazing. Man, I love this channel. Y'all great. Jonathan Mobo, yup. Battle, Mogbo. See, that's the thing, right? Like, see, a casual basketball observer would miss what these guys did. They might overstrain or overfocus on what Scottie did. And I'm not saying Scottie had a bad game. I'm telling you, he had a perfectly fine game. I just think that these guys had exceptional games. I think Jonathan Mobo had an exceptional game. I think he had a game that changed the flow of the game. That's called putting your foot on the game. It's called putting your imprint on the game. And Jonathan Mobo did that tonight. I thought he was incredible. Let's take a look at his box score tonight because, I mean, it's not going to capture what he did. They took a rebound away. They took a rebound. Wow. Okay. Lost my voice there. They took a rebound away there. It's like sounding like a remix there. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, plus 21. And honestly, they tell you not to pay attention to the plus minus, but that was really it felt like that though. It felt like you won every second of you won almost every second he was on the court. He was infectious. Tipped balls, loose balls, he was diving, he was blocking shots, he was getting his hands on in the passing lanes. He's altering everything. He's making passing lanes suddenly like very very congested. He reminded me a lot of a blend of rookie OG Anunoby mixed with rookie Scottie Barnes. Like that's who he reminded me of. He's pressing and he's switching out on the wing like rookie Scottie Barnes or rookie OG Anunoby. And honestly, he played big in college. So it's really hard to project how some of his defensive skills that he showed in college would translate to an NBA level, he's flexible. He's flexible. He's long as hell. He's so strong and he's relentless. His motor is relentless. He is such a good rebounder. It is absolutely insane. 10 rebounds in 24 minutes. And by the way, he wasn't boxing out chumps. He out rebounded Andre Drummond, who self-proclaimed greatest rebounder in NBA history, and he kept him off the glass a couple times too. I thought it was just an incredible performance from Jonathan Mogbo, man. And I got to tell you, Jonathan Mogbo is just someone that I've been super high on pre-draft. Y'all know, made videos saying he needed to be the Raptors pick. He was the only pick on draft night where I was like, yes. Everybody else, I love him now, but I had like mixed reactions. Jonathan has been like one of those guys where before he shot up draft boards, I was like, man, if this guy goes undrafted, we need to sign him, right? But some of the coverage around him, especially, around Canada, around Toronto, has been, look, Scottie has a friend. Scottie Barnes has a friend. You know what I mean? West Palm Beach. Big night for West Palm Beach. Their two stars showed out. But this coverage of Jonathan, because it diminishes the player he was. In college, this is one of the best players in college basketball. He was the most productive player in his conference. He was the leading rebounder in his conference. He led his conference in box plus minus. And you're seeing why those analytics matter. You're seeing why the analytics matter. A lot of people are anti-math skitball. Shout outs to Big Ox Bob. Some people are against the analytics. Jonathan Mogbo shines on the analytics the way Pascal Siakam shines in the analytics. The only difference being he's just way, way more athletic in a different way. I'll also say he doesn't have the mid-range stuff that Pascal was showing at New Mexico State. But honestly, like it's a lot of the same stuff. They're picked right around the same place in the draft as well. I am so impressed with the Toronto Raptors rookies, and I got to tell you, their highest rookie, they love him. Jakob Poeltl hasn't played a single game. They love him. Wait till you see Jakob Poeltl do a baseline cut and stuff it on somebody. Wait till you see this guy come off a screen. I'm telling you, man, it's hard to imagine without a top 18 pick that you have basically rebuilt your roster on the fly through one draft, which allegedly was so bad. Go back and listen to Masai Ujiri's presser at midseason when they were talking about not wanting to have too many picks in this draft. And of course, they followed suit by trading away that OKC pick for Ochai Agbaji. And Ochai Agbaji, he looked good too. I've been impressed with some of his decision making, some of his passing. I think it's been good. His defense has been incredible. He got the assignment on Tyrese Maxey a lot tonight, and I thought he was great. So overall, I'm just very impressed. Let's take a look at a couple of key, I would say key stats, like what really sticks out to me in terms of just from the team stats. And take a look here. I mean, obviously the free throws and the you're not going to see another game like this in the NBA this year. I mean, the refs are calling everything right now. The stat of all stats is out rebounding the Sixers 54-28. 54-28 is nuts. Here, hold on, let me just pull this up for a sec. 54-28 is all heart. And again, you're doing this against the team that is actually bigger than you. They're bigger across the board than you. In fact, like you have Jakob Poeltl, but they have Andre Drummond. And Andre Drummond is bigger than Jakob Poeltl. Just he's a huge human being. If you've ever stood next to Andre Drummond, he feels like you're standing next to a brick wall. He is a huge rebounder. He's a guy who could easily have put 26 rebounds on the board himself. And, when they went small with Scottie and Jonathan Mogbo, you basically got two wings playing the big position, and they kept up. They kept up, man. That was just such a gutsy performance. I mean, 18 offensive rebounds really sticks out. Darko does not get his 30 assists. Samson Folk does not get his Scottie Barnes triple-double, but triple-doubles are hard to come by when the offense is just so inefficient. You're not hitting threes. The Raptors have 13 blocks. That's another one. They turned the ball over a lot tonight, right? They were trying to break that zone. I think they got caught up in it a few too many times. There was, of course, we're not even going to talk. Can we just put, last year we talked a lot about the negatives of Dennis Schroeder, and then he wasn't on the team, and we're like, okay,
is it possible like we just stop? Let's just not even talk about Bruno Fernando, bro. Like Bruno Fernando checks in and the lead just evaporates. He is like anti-basketball. I don't know what else to tell you. Like he's the kryptonite to whatever you want to win. He's the tank commander. Make the graphics, make the gifts. Like honestly, if you want to tank for Cooper Flag, start this guy and play him 30 minutes. You will never win a game ever. He is so bad. And yo, like you're not on a guaranteed contract. They could waive you tomorrow. You get nothing and you will not get another contract. Probably. Like it's so bad. It's like Jalen McDaniel. It's like Jalen McDaniels. Nathan Turner saying Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels easy. I think you mean Jalen McDaniels. I hope you mean Jalen McDaniels. We don't talk about Bruno. You know what? We won't talk about Bruno. Like let's just not talk about it. It's not worth talking about any more than we've already talked about it. He's been bad every time he stepped on the court. Tonight, 2 points, 6 rebounds. I mean, that's good, I guess. But when you have 3 turnovers and you're -9 in 8 minutes in a game that you won, that your team won, that's bad, man. I'm not going to say plus minus is everything because Jamal Shead unfortunately was on the court with him and he sustained a -14 rating for that as well. And Scottie Barnes was on the court and he sustained a -1. He's like a black hole of basketball. You know what I mean? Like everything just sucks into it and everything just falls apart. But kudos to him for crashing the glass. He did get a couple. He got 4 of those offensive rebounds, so that's credit to him. But Jonathan Mogbo got 5 of them. Ochai Agbaji got 3 of them. So you got a guard mixing it up in just 26 minutes. Ochai Agbaji had 8 rebounds and 12 points. And yeah, this was a gutsy win. And, Chris Boucher with 4 blocks, Jakob Poeltl with 4 blocks. I'm at a point right now where I'm like, okay, let's just not play Bruno Fernando anymore. Let's play Chris Boucher and Jonathan Mogbo and just call it a day. You're going to be a little bit small. So what? Who cares? What's Bruno Fernando doing for you right now, man? You got no spacing with this guy. He can't shoot. Let's just keep it that way. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the plays tonight. I was obviously tweeting up a storm as this game was going on, and it was really fun, actually. I mean, it was excruciating to watch at times, but it was also really fun. And okay, so first of all, like this moment in the post game was just it was wholesome, right? You got Scotty, you got Jonathan Mogbo. They're joking about the rebound that was taken away. You'll love to see it, right? I hope you do. And shout outs to Kayla Gray for being one of the realest and coolest people in the media, right? A really incorruptible media person. So earlier I talked about that play with Shed where he turns it over. This was his 7th turnover of the night. So you see Kyle Lowry, he tips the ball here, right? So I heard somebody earlier say incorrectly that it was Kelly Oubre. No, it was Kyle Lowry, and Kyle Lowry got a steal on him. He got a steal on Scotty. I mean, Kyle Lowry was doing Kyle Lowry things, and Scotty got a technical, then Darko got a technical. I mean, we can talk about that, but here we go, right? And Kelly Oubre, he's going to go downhill, he's going to dunk. Thankfully, Ochai doesn't make it worse by fouling. And now this is a moment where you find out who you have, right? Because sometimes mistakes spiral in a basketball game. Any sport. I don't care what game you play. Mistakes tend to spiral, and you're on the court in the final minute. This is not a moment that you probably prepared yourself for if you're an average player because you're a third stringer, right? You're not expecting to be playing against Nick Nurse zones in the 4th quarter in the 2nd game of the season. This is like disaster zone, right? And look at how he splits this and just look at the composure. Doesn't hang his head, no bad body language because I know we're body language experts around here. Scotty gets the ball and he gets the double, right? So Scotty's great at court mapping. This is one of the beautiful things. Scotty's like Nikola Jokic this way. He's not quite as good as Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, but he's like whatever the hell the next level down is, that's what Scotty is. So Scotty sees a path for the right side of the court. He sees them loading up on the left side, and the minute they commit, boom, there's the commit, and now he goes. And this gives Jamal Shead just enough of an angle to get up the court. And look at this. And again, when you double like this, you need to close that gap. And because of Kelly Oubre maybe over committing and getting too committed on Scotty, he's a little bit late to close this, and Shed goes right through. And that's beautiful. And then of course Tyrese Maxey is a complete pylon. He just pokes away at the basketball. And now you're going 3-on-1. So if the defender commits to Jakob, this is a layup. If the defender tries to cut off Ochai, then this is a layup. And because the defender tried to stop Jamal Shead, this is a drop off to Jakob Poeltl, and Yak gets the dunk. So impressive how just moments like that can just it can show you a little bit about who you have on the court. Here's another moment. Scottie Barnes going down Bay Street, looking a little bit like, I don't know, a little Giannis Antetokounmpo action up there. Exhausting. This game was exhausting. I don't know what the Raptors are going to have in the tank, but he gets past Caleb Martin and just goes right down. And honestly, this was the knockout blow. I would say Jamison Battle and Jonathan Mogbo really did the heavy lifting tonight in terms of changing the momentum of this game. But I would say that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, this is Jamison Battle 2 times, not once, but twice against Kyle Lowry. Now, they thought, I guess I don't know what the scouting report is on Jamison Battle. I don't know if there is a scouting report on Jamison Battle, right? Because shout out to the Ohio State and shout out to Layne if you're listening. But Jamison Battle is not your average player, okay? He's a good player and he can make passes out of these situations. Now, this is a grenade, okay? This is clock running out. What's the situation? 1 second, and Kyle is just too small. Look at the release. This is why a big movement shooter like Jamison Battle is so important. And as good a defender as Kyle is, there's just no chance that unless you do your work super early that he's going to stop this shot. And this goes right in. Boom. Bucket. Let's take a look at that again. Kyle is trying to stop him. Boom. Loved it. There was another play, again, part of the Jamison Battle. And shout outs to Jamison Battle. Battle Time. The nickname is Battle Time. So here's another play here with Jamison Battle. Big time, man. And this is the small stuff that Jonathan Mogbo does, right? This is a shot that misses out. And that's the greatest rebounder of all time. And that is a rookie. I need you to see this. Freeze this in your mind, frame it, put it on your wall, cry at night. I don't know what you got to do, but this got you hyped. This is effort. This is effort. This is heart. This is just guts. This is glory. Without fouling, he didn't climb his back. He didn't commit the foul. He just out jumped a guy who has 5 inches and 40 pounds on him. And I'm sorry, man. Jonathan Mogbo is the player of the game. He's amazing. And it's a small play like this. And I'm freezing it because they didn't really talk about this on the broadcast. And the presence of mind, that was like a tip pass. You don't understand. That wasn't an accident that fell. I need you to see that. Like watch that again. So this is, when you slow things down, they become kind of crazy. Hold on, let me see if I can actually slow this down. This is amazing. Okay, this is perfect. Hang on 1 second here. Look at him. He sees exactly who he's passing that to. It was a little bit off, but there's a reason he passed it down to Jamison Battle. He's right there. I would love to have an interview with Jonathan Mogbo and be like, did you see Jamison Battle there? Because I feel like he's the type of passer that would see Jamison Battle there. Everything they said about Scottie Barnes as a draft pick, that's what Jonathan Mogbo is. They were wrong about Scottie as a draft pick, just so we are clear on that. Scottie is just a very different type of player. But if you read Scottie Barnes' draft profile, a lot of that big playmaker, connected playmaker, next Draymond Green, blah, 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 0 level scorer, all that stuff is what you should be saying about Jonathan Mogbo. All right. So here we go. This was a huge block. Chris Boucher starts the fast break. And who's that running the fast break? That's the guy that just jumped over Andre Drummond, the greatest rebounder of all time. I'm going to keep addressing Andre Drummond as the greatest rebounder of all time because I don't agree that he's the greatest rebounder of all time, and I'm just being bitchy about it. But this is just attacking and making the perfect pass out of this, and this is finding advantages. And this is DJ Carton falling out of bounds. Yak getting it over to Jamison Battle. And Kyle Lowry doesn't close out in time. Boom. Just so many beautiful things, man. Do you remember when I told you this team was going to be really fun to watch? This is why it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch if you like basketball. If you like basketball, this is beautiful basketball. Look at this. Again, more Jonathan Mogbo. I was hyping him up all game. Once again, Kyle Lowry. Beautiful, right? Just a nice finish. His touch has at times been really weird. Him, Ochai, they're getting better. They're so much better than the players we saw in the summer, and they're so much better than the players they were in summer league right now. And this is the development that we've been talking about, right? Okay. Now I believe this is going to hone in on some mistakes here. Bear with me for a second. So this is, I don't remember this play, but let's just take a look at it. Scottie Barnes, Chris Boucher. Ah, right. There's your Bruno Fernando highlight of the night. Okay. I mean, you can't be 6'10" and be and blowing bunnies at the rim. That's just nuts. I think this is another mistake. Let's see here. Okay, this one I remember why I did it. It's Scottie Barnes getting lost on this screen. I mean, you could say this is probably a little illegal, but that's also Tyrese Maxey, bro. Like Scottie cannot get lost on a Tyrese Maxey screen. And here, kind of a reckless closeout. You know what I mean? Like Scottie is just, this is just the wrong angle. Like it's just not coordinated. I mean, where were you going with that one? And now you've got a 2-on-1 downhill, advantage, and Bruno's probably a little bit too high here, right? He probably needs to get a little bit lower, but I understand he's kind of gapping the difference between. So this is perfectly fine, but you're just not going to recover. And this is a easy and one but you can't do that. Like I know Gershon Yabusele is like 265 pounds, but you are no you're no you're not small, so you cannot give up the and one. Like you got to foul, like you got to do you. Yeah, this is a top down view of Jonathan Mogbo in the middle of the court, and I got to tell you, when your best rebounder, and I'm going to say it right now, Jonathan Mogbo is the best rebounder on the Raptors. Him, Jakob Poeltl, but honestly, I think he might just be, man. Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that. No, he's the second best rebounder on the Raptors. He is incredible. And when your best rebounder is also like a really good decision maker in the middle of the court, you end up with really good plays like this, just wide open. But there's Jonathan Mogbo again, crashing the offensive glass, and look, perfect pass again to Grady Dick. Just good decision making, man. High IQ plays. But that's a rookie and a second year player. And I'm told the Raptors have to tank. The Raptors have no future. They got to tank, right? Ah, okay. Another play here. This might be negative. Hold on. So this is Chris Boucher in the middle of the court, passes over. Okay, so this is a blown fast break opportunity. Let's take a look at Chris Boucher in the middle of the court. And this is not me being mean to Chris. Please understand. This is just the difference between someone who knows, really has a great instinct for basketball, and someone who doesn't have a great instinct for basketball, especially as a decision maker. So here, immediately, this is the wrong move. You cannot be going left because that's where Jonathan's coming. And Chris Boucher doesn't see Jonathan Mogbo, and they're going to get crossed up here. So let me just slow this down so y'all can see what I'm talking about, because it is important to understand so that you can see the game. My goal with this channel is always to build better basketball minds. So hopefully if we do this right now in real time, like you can see this in real time too. So here, this is just the wrong pass. You're too close. Your spacing is completely compromised. And now you've turned a 3-on-2 fast break, which could have been, Chris Boucher going downhill, forcing Kyle Lowry to commit. You're 6'11". The guy who's back is a guard. The other guy who's back is an other guard. I mean, you got two guards back, and now you've put Jonathan Mogbo in a very tough position. And you're basically going 2-on-2 because DJ Carton, and now obviously DJ Carton is wanting the alley-oop here. Mogbo doesn't think he has the separation to throw that pass because you need a little bit more space to make that pass. Otherwise, it gets tipped. And He's going to make this pass to Chris Boucher, probably because he thinks that Chris Boucher can make this pass. Chris Boucher pump fakes. And is this going to be a 3 or is this going to be a brick? It's a brick. So, you turn what is a surefire 2 points in any situation that should be 2 points. It's inexcusable that it's not 2 points. And you turn it into a missed 3 on a night where you're not really clicking from 3. So, here's another mistake that I think was worth pointing out. Give me one sec here. Slow this down. Right. All right, give this video a like if you like me doing a little bit of a film breakdown with the post-game lives. I really appreciate a like on this video. Got over 500 people in here, and I bet you anything we don't have 500 likes. All right, there's DJ Carton. Now, this is just a terrible pass. Like, look at where this pass is going. And, like, I mean, sure, you could say if Scottie was just being a little bit more careful, he probably could have grabbed this. But this is a terrible pass to throw. Like, you throwing it at the guy's ankles and you're a point guard. You can't do that, right? So just and there's no pressure on the pass either. You're wide open. So the bounce on this pass, I'm just trying to hone in on my own point guard instincts here. The bounce should have been like 2 feet closer to him so that the ball was meeting Scottie on the rise. Also, this didn't need to be a bounce pass. I don't understand why you're bouncing this basketball. I really don't. This is a straight pass. There's nobody in the driving lane. If nothing else, you're gonna I would overcommit to the left side so that Scottie might even have to hang up a little bit. And that way, Scottie would have a clear pass to Chris Boucher. But of course, this ends up being a turnover. And on a night where you're undermanned, these types of fast break opportunities are what you can't have happen. And this is why you need to have RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Jamal Shead when he's not having a sloppy game, Jonathan Mogbo, Kelly Olynyk, right? You need to have better playmakers if you're going to pass the ball this much, right? It's easy to play the way Nick Nurse used to play, where you have a whole bunch of stationary shooters and you have like very limited decision-making responsibilities for your worst playmakers. But if you're putting people in the middle of the court to make decisions like this at rapid pace, you're going to have better decision makers. And for one, am very, very happy that the Toronto Raptors have the number of quality decision makers that they do. Okay, let's get to some call-ins. We have one caller. I'm surprised that on a night like this, we only have one caller, but make sure to call in if you would like to say something about this game or if you have some thoughts. Call-in link is in the description of this video. Okay, let's get to Kemper. Kemper, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you
Cool.
doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm great. What'd you think of the game?
Oh, I thought it was great. It was tough to watch. It was kind of brutal, actually. In the third, at the start of the third quarter, I was actually considering not watching just because it was so sluggish and so many turnovers. But then Mogbo brought insane energy, and then I was hooked. Then Battle started going off. Yeah, it was excellent.
Who was your player of the game?
I think Mogbo. If I had to choose somebody.
I'm glad because the Raptors broadcast they chose Scottie, probably because Scottie had a really, really tough game. And it's funny because this channel is basically like the Scottie Gas channel where the Scottie super fans. I'm sure everyone here is a huge Scottie Barnes fan, but I'm sure Scottie himself, if he had to give a player of the game, would hand it to Jonathan Mogbo tonight. So I'm glad that despite superstar and fandom and all-star, that we can still give credit to the guy who really busted his ass tonight. I don't think you win this game without Jonathan Mogbo. Actually, let me scratch that. You don't win this game tonight without Jonathan Mogbo. If you have to play all of Jonathan Mogbo's minutes to Bruno Fernando, you lose this game by 20. The gap between these two players is it's enormous. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think they probably gave it to him just to highlight that he had a bounce back game from last game.
Mhm.
But that was just kind of a regular Scottie game. I think it's what we're
That's
used to.
exactly it. That was just a regular Scottie game. I hope to see a very dialed in and very motivated and very focused Scottie Barnes. And knowing that they're going up against Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow and it's Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, there could be a lot of struggles tomorrow for this team. They are very undermanned. And when you're undermanned this badly, to face off a team that is just so much better than you, and tomorrow you're not going to have the benefit of facing a depleted team. You're going to face a healthy team on their home turf. This could be very tough. So,
Yeah.
and especially when you exerted so much energy to
Yeah,
get this win,
that's
but
what I was
thank God they won
thinking,
this
like,
one.
yeah, it was rough. It was or it was so physical too. I loved Ochai, and I have been loving him recently though as well. He's just I think because he's been so aggressive, and with RJ out, he's been filling in that slashing role that we need in Darko's system. So I've been really impressed with him as well in his defense.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, what else? Oh, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So we're not going to talk about Bruno, but it's probably better to.
If you really want to talk about Bruno, we can talk about Bruno. It's perfectly
I
fine.
want to like kind of talk about it a little bit. It's probably better to have Bruno in for those minutes than having like Ulrich in still. Would you agree?
Tomato, tomato, my friend.
Yeah.
18-year-old rookie who's going to make a lot of mistakes, 26-year-old who's going to make a lot of mistakes. I mean, they're both very error prone, but I think Ulrich gives you like a high level motor. I mean, I guess they both give you a high level motor. I mean, they're very similar players right now. It's just the difference is one of them's 18 and has crazy potential to be like one of the 5, 6 best players in his draft class. I don't know. I'm perfectly fine with it. I mean, I understand, but there are bigs who are just smart passers and capable decision makers, veterans out there who can competently defend. These are not like it's not the rarest of rarest archetypes. I'm not telling the Raptors to go find Scottie Barnes in free agency. I'm saying find a competent big, like a warm body, who just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? Like maybe a
Yeah.
stretch big. I don't know. I will agree that a rookie like Ulrich and a rookie like Brendan Carlson probably would have made a lot of mistakes too, but they're rookies. That's expected. 7 turnovers for Jamal Shead is a learning experience. If Jamal Shead has a 7 turnover game like this in his 4th year, that'll be a cause for concern. We take different, it's like when Scottie was a rookie or even when Grady was a rookie, right? Like we obviously have a different way of evaluating players who are jumping up from the college level, right? Right? Like
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
the adjustment that Grady had last year with the 3-point line. We weren't writing him off and saying, "Oh my god, this guy can't shoot. He's a terrible shooter." No, there's an adjustment. But if he was having the same struggles in 4th year, 5th year, then we would have questions. So yeah, so there's certain things that, you should be able to do after you've plugged your first 2-3,000 NBA minutes, and Bruno has certainly played a lot of NBA minutes, man.
Right. He's
Yeah,
reached that point where it's not productive anymore, probably.
absolutely.
Been
Yeah.
fixed.
Any more thoughts?
Yeah, I just thought that this game, like seeing Tyrese, who's uh, a a consensus better player than Scottie right now, pretty much, with a slightly better roster, struggle as much as he did, should put into
He
context
struggled the first
what
game too. He struggled the first game as well.
did he?
So the thing
Yeah.
with Tyrese is, yeah, he struggled miserably. I think he shot 10 for 29 in the first game.
Oh,
The thing with
10 for
Tyrese is
31. Yeah.
pardon?
Or it was 10 for 31.
Tonight?
Tyrese in his first game.
Tyrese Tyrese Maxey in his first game. Was it 10 for 31?
Yeah,
That's
because somebody said it was
crazy.
a Halloween. He shot Halloween numbers, and so I was like, "Oh shit!" 10 for
That's nuts. And tonight
yeah,
he was 6 for 23. Look, I mean, I hope that people realize that when you don't have like good players around you and you rely on good players to create advantages, like you're not a Jalen Brunson or a Luka Doncic or a primary initiator of offense, which is basically like what Scotty's being asked to do right now, right? He's being asked to initiate a lot of possessions, and it's difficult. It's really difficult to do that without a head of steam, without transition, without somebody who's a good playmaker creating the advantage for you. And I thought that that was what was so impressive about the Raptors game tonight. You're not going to win 10 games this season playing this way. You have to be sharper. You have to hit more threes. You're not going to get, I don't want to say the Raptors got bailed out by the refs because I think the Sixers got bailed out by a lot of calls, frankly. But the fact that this game was as ugly as it was the only way the Raptors are going to win. Honestly, there's like a game plan to every single game. There's a flow to every single game. If you get into a shootout with this team, the way we were shooting, we were going to lose this game. Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey, these players, they're not the toughest players. You know what I mean? Like I don't find them to be super tough physical players. So when you get into a dogfight, like you actually, it's almost like MMA when you think about it, right? If you're a fighter who, I don't know too much about MMA, but this is the limited that I do know, that I thought that this was a good analogy. So if you're a good fighter who understands the ground game, it's in your advantage to get the opponent on the ground to fight. Now, the Raptors had to get them on the ground to make this a dogfight. You were
Right.
not going to win playing, the country game. You had to play, in the words of Jack Armstrong, the city game tonight. You had to muck it up. You had to be diving for loose balls. And there was a lot of, mention of this long practice that the Raptors had yesterday. There was a lot of talk from Grady Dick about what was said in that, and everyone had the chance to speak. I'm curious. I wish it could have been a fly on the wall and just see who said what. But, the Raptors came out, and I said it last game when they got pounded by 30. I think they're going to come back and they're going to put up a better effort today, right? It's going to be an uphill climb, and I didn't expect necessarily the Raptors to win tonight. I thought they would win, but I didn't. I wouldn't have been upset if they had lost. But
Right.
I'm surely impressed that they won. And it follows history because the last time the Raptors, made history in terms of breaking their home. So there was like a game I think I mentioned in 2021 where they lost by 15 at home to the Wizards, and then they came out and they blew out the Boston Celtics. This is exactly the same thing, except maybe tonight you didn't blow them out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm proud of them. We have some dogs, and I'm just glad we eked out a win
Yeah.
with
All right,
that.
man. Thanks a lot, Kemper. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya. Okay, keep the calls coming, guys. Happy to have this conversation, and this is your show. That's the cool thing about this show is it is your show. It's not just me talking. I love that we're going to keep it somewhat structured going forward. That we're going to have the initial thoughts, the stats, then we have a little bit of a film breakdown, then we do the callers, and then at the end we'll do some larger philosophical perhaps takeaways from the game, and if we end up getting into a conversation about life in general, we'll do that as well. Rusty Nail, what's going on, man?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, sadly, I could not watch the game today, but shout out to Raptors Nation. I could watch what was going on. And I was sort of sad about Mobo's rebound being taken away.
Yeah, yeah, that might be tough for anyone who had the Jonathan Mogbo gets a double parlay, but I thought he was just incredible.
He
What?
was.
Yeah, is this? Had you watched a lot of Jonathan Mogbo prior to the NBA?
I went to see some highlights when he was shouted out by Scottie on his Twitch prior.
Okay,
So,
cool. What else did you think about tonight's game?
it was a good game, but it wasn't a great game, I would say. From
From who?
if you get what I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was ugly as hell. There was a lot of there was a lot of poor, I would say, I don't want to say poor communication, but there was a lot of poor execution, botched
Yeah.
coverages, defensive. Okay, so here's the thing. Prior to the third quarter, I would say Scottie was having a poor game. Yes,
Yeah.
initially he got into the paint, he got some paint touches. He should be able to do that. They don't have a wing defender that has a prayer against him. He needs to play with more force. He needs to play
does.
downhill. He needs to force his way more in the game. There needs to be more of a command. Like you can't be walking Tyrese. There was a particular one where I think it was a post up on either Maxi. I can't remember who it was on. And he posted him up and he kicked it out and then he reposted it. And Jack Armstrong on the broadcast mentioned, like, you got to get deeper. You got to get deeper on the repost. And I was like, God damn it, yes. When Scottie plays with force, when Scottie plays with energy, when Scottie plays with like a focus, it is so different than this. Now, what's amazing is that on a night where I don't think he played great, that he was still able to put up a stat line that was very commendable. But man,
That's
he
good.
he needs to buy his teammates like dinner tonight because they were incredible. And I think we all need to really give respect to these rookies and these role players because I think they were just all so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Any final thoughts?
the first season game, my friend Tom, he did not like Grady Dick last season. However, I got an email after the game that said I was wrong about Grady Dick. So I got to meet him for dinner, so I had to hear you say it in person.
That's hilarious. Why did your friend not like Grady Dick?
He's very biased against, I think it was more of a bias against like just him having the Gillette commercials, and he wasn't getting his play time as much. And
Gillette commercial. Oh, that's
yes,
funny. Tell your friend to check out our Instagram reel today where we cut Grady and Michael Jordan going back to back on the Michael Jordan commercial.
okay,
Definitely
I
tell him to check
will.
that out. Maybe he'll feel
Okay.
better about Grady Dick and his aerial acrobatics. I think Grady is phenomenal. I obviously wasn't super high at Grady at the draft, but that
Yeah.
night itself, I started watching his high school tape and I was like,
I was there. I was
okay.
there during the live of your draft. I've been watching for a long time, so it was
Okay.
great to talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Rusty Neal.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Cheers. All right. That was the first time caller. Ziggsaw Puzzle, you are next in line, but you need to connect your device. So we will we'll get you on for sure once you connect your device. If there are any more callers, okay, we got you. Hey, what's up?
Hello?
How are
Can you hear
doing?
me?
Yes. Hello?
Shit, my bad. One sec. Yeah. Can you hear me now? I was
Yes.
just switching tabs.
No worries.
Great game. Great game. I actually loved the whole flow of offense. It's like similar to last year, but now our young guys are gunning faster. It's like, remember like the Pelicans with Jose Alvarado? Everyone would be running like back and forth last year. It's the similar energy with us, I think, this year. I feel.
Except we don't quite have the defensive stoppers that they did.
Yeah, right now.
Right
Not
now.
yet.
But Jonathan Mogbo is coming along nicely. I mean, it would
Dude.
not surprise me if one day this guy averages like 2 blocks and a steal and a half.
Like he's getting Tyrese on the switches and he's still handling him pretty well.
That's the crazy thing. Do you realize that 2 years ago in the playoffs, was it 3 years ago? It was 3 years ago. 3
Yeah.
years ago in the playoffs, Scottie's rookie season, we went up against the Sixers team and Tyrese Maxey lit up a very good defender in Fred VanVleet, who admittedly at the time was very compromised mobility-wise, hips and whatever. Tyrese is a way better player today than he was back then. The fact that he struggled the way he did is absolutely testament to the defensive
intensity,
effort
I think.
and intensity.
Yeah. He never had any easy ones, like, because any screen that he would get, he wouldn't get a free basket out of it. A lot of the times, it was like either Mogbo cutting him off or Shead communicating and actually going around the screens. He was like Jamal Shead has been really impressive to me because he's been running the corners. Like I saw a bunch of screens. He would always fight through the screens. I think I used to see that with Lowry a bit, Fred as well. So
absolutely, I thought it was really
excited
interesting
for
to see Jamal Shead and Kyle Lowry just have a moment towards
I
the
saw
end of
that
the
during
game.
the free throws. Yeah.
Yeah, during the free throws, Kyle went back and Shead was kind of talking shit to him, and I was like, man, this is a Raptors moment if there ever was one. I hope Raptors Moments, shout outs to Raptors Moments, does something like his traditional voiceovers with that. But I thought it was so funny because he reminds me so much of Kyle. And tonight's performance was a very gutsy Kyle-like performance. Kyle also had a ton of high turnover games early in his career as well. So yeah, any final thoughts?
I think Jamison Battle is also pretty damn good. Surprisingly,
he's a rookie.
Because these are all like first year players. We didn't have. What did we have last year that was this good as a rookie, right? And we got 4. You could say 4 guys that are really like dogs.
I mean, honestly, we've already had a Jamison Battle game. If I say Jamison Battle game at the end of the year, like high leverage moments, like the fourth quarter when the game is still in the balance, and you come out and you put up 8 points in 2 minutes, I'm going to call that your Jamison Battle game, right? That's I say the James. It took Grady I think it was 6-7 games last year to have a game. It was against the Sixers. And then there was maybe nothing else for like an entire 4 months. So again, Grady was a freshman. Jamison Battle's a 5-year college player. But Grady's also a lottery pick. And Jamison Battle was undrafted. I think the Raptors have Jamison Battle is 23 years old. He's the same age as Scottie Barnes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And Shead is also 22 or 23?
22. So Shead's 22. I think Jonathan Mogbo's 22.
It's actually good that they're all like similar ages to Scottie because like their timelines could match, even though Scottie has more potential overall.
Well, that's exactly it, right? You've completely rebuilt this whole team with youth, but I think it's different to be a Scottie Barnes where you're 23, but you have 3 years under your belt versus being a Jonathan Mogbo where you're around the same age, but you have no experience under your belt. But I think that all that experience in college is not for naught. It's not for nothing. It's still basketball. It's still basketball at a high level. It's still high level competitive basketball. Does it limit your potential to some extent? Maybe. But I think that the Raptors have such a great development staff here that these players are going to exceed and get better. And, who knows what Jamison Battle is going to be in a couple of years. I'm very impressed right now. Maybe in a couple of years, we're like, how did he slip?
True.
I've had some very popular, if not viral, takes on Bronny James because I thought there
I
were
remember I saw those on PC, right?
yeah,
Those
and my beef largely was that there were better players available. Clearly, like there's like probably 60 players better than him available at 55, but two of them, three of them, I think could be of consequence here, and I think maybe even more. This draft was very deep. So you have Jamison Battle, who was undrafted, who was clearly available at 55, and I think really fits into what JJ Redick's doing in the Lakers. You have Ulrich, who was a clutch client. They probably could have maneuvered something to get him at 55. And then on top of that, you have guys like Isaiah Crawford. You have a lot of guys at the back end of this draft where I'm like, that's a sneaky NBA player. So I'll be very curious to see how this draft looks in a few years. But if there are 5 or 6 second-round picks that work, I'll be very comfortable saying the Raptors probably have 2 of them. So that's really amazing. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Get rid of thing. What's his name?
Bruno
Fernando. BF.
Voldemort, man. No, it's cool. Look, I don't want to turn this into a hate thing.
I don't hate him.
It's just
it's like a second Chris Boucher. That's what it is.
Yeah, but Chris Boucher is like a fan favorite. And Chris Boucher tries so hard. I mean, they both try hard.
I think he's working hard. It's just like he's not finding the right. I think if he goes through maybe a couple of G League stints, maybe he gets it back.
I don't think you're going to put a 26-year-old in G League right now. So let's just say this. Let's try to go the other way. Let's try to be super positive about it. I mean, we can try. I mean, we know the truth. Okay, so go Bruno Fernando. This is going to be the Bruno Fernando support club. Please, God, let Bruno Fernando not have 4 turnovers in the next game. All right. Thanks a lot, Ziggsaw, for calling. Appreciate you. Cheers.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Okay. Bring it on. Kevrae, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Rob? That was a fantastic game, man. Like, I mean, rough had many points, but it was a classic dog grinded out kind of game, and I'm glad that we had Jamal Shead, Mogbo, and even Davion Mitchell, right, taking some key charge right there, right, getting some of that pressure on Maxey, which, man, he brutalized us over the last 2-3 years. Like, I was getting nightmares every time the 76ers come in town and if he's healthy, right? So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a huge thing that you get that kind of team effort. Like I was thinking, like when I was writing out the description for this video, I was like, I started to write one name, and I was like, yeah, but he had a good game too. And he had a good game too, and I got to like 9 names, and I'm like, damn it, that's like basically the whole damn rotation had a good game. I think it was such a gutsy,
amazing.
These are the type of games that make you feel good as a fan.
I'm the real fan. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like as ugly as it was, like of course we're not that far removed from championship, but doesn't Mogbo give you like a little bit of Kenneth Faried light, Jason Maxiel kind of friggin' vibes? Like
No,
not at all. Even stronger than that.
I don't know how to tell you how high I am on this guy, but I'm a lot higher than that. I think he is. I don't know how to explain it, man. He's like, he reminds me of Draymond, and it's funny because I compare a lot of players to Draymond, and Draymond is like, he's like my, when you play 2K and everyone is compared to like Reggie Bullock, and like, everyone can't be Reggie Bullock, bro.
No,
or like
man,
everyone is compared to Tim Hardaway Jr. And you're like, bro, what's going on here? So.
But yeah, the effect of a Draymond on a team is quite intense magnitude, right? When it's working, not when he's shooting threes and people are daring him with that open stuff, that garbage that he tosses up sometimes, right?
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the physics of Draymond, like what makes Draymond what Draymond is, right? I think
that heart.
It's the heart. Sure, you can say, Draymond has heart, but I think it's also a matter of, like how well you read the court in the middle of the floor. It's how well you turn defense into offense as a single driver of that conversion. So there's I'm forgetting the term right now, but it's almost like the transition between defense and offense. There's a word for it, and I'm forgetting the word right now because it's been a long day. But
Armstrong keeps on referring to it as a city game, right?
no. That's not what I'm talking about. So when a team is transitioning from defense to offense or from offense to defense, there is a word for it. Does anyone know it? I'm forgetting it. It's right at the tip of my tongue, and I'm just losing it. That period is when advantages can be milked or you can lose advantages. So the advantage that we showed with Chris Boucher, where he's going down the middle, he's got Jonathan Mogbo on the wing, he's got a guard going back. If
Right,
you
like
can read,
scramble situations, right?
sure. And in that moment when the defense, someone's saying transition. Nope, there is an actual word for it though. I promise you. I'll figure it out. Maybe it'll come to me later in this live. But whatever the word is, basically, some teams have a drifty period between when they realize, oh, we're on offense. Oh, now we're on defense. Sometimes a player will complain. Someone's saying momentum. No, it's not it. So whatever that period is, sometimes a player will stop and complain to the ref. Sometimes a player will stop and complain about a foul. Sometimes a player will fall out of bounds trying to stress a call.
Mhm.
Sometimes a player just hangs their head after a miss, you know? So
Right.
in the moment that you are transitioning, so when you miss the shot, you're still on offense, but the second it hits the rim, you're on defense, right? The minute the rebound is secured for the other team, you're on defense, right? So the minute that happens, now how quickly do you one, map the court and figure out where the advantages are? Do you figure out where the mismatches are for your team? How quickly do you know, oh, shoot, this is the balance of the court. We have a guard back and they have a big sprinting down the court. Someone needs to help. And it is in those 2 to 3 seconds that good teams, smart teams with high IQ can exploit maybe 20 points a game. You can
Right.
get 20 points a game off that. And that's why you play fast. That's the philosophy of Mike D'Antoni is that teams just don't transition well in that 1 to 2 seconds. And it is in those 1 to 2 seconds. And if you looked at the game that they had against the Boston Celtics in the preseason, Scottie Barnes was crossing over half court like 22 seconds into the clock. He was already over the half court line. That was against the Celtics. And now against this team, I'm seeing a lot of them walking up the court. So I thought that was interesting too, you know, like different styles of game, different philosophy. But if the Raptors play fast, it'll be to their advantage. But obviously, play faster, more turnovers, suddenly
Right.
starts to bleed advantages. Sometimes you need to slow it down. But yeah. Anyways, any final thoughts?
Um, just that amazing swing there where Battle, Mobo, and just I think took it over for us there, right? I think that's where the game was essentially won, and then from that point on, we were able to kind of like hold them off a little bit, right? And then Scotty closed it for us. Amazing.
Absolutely. All
Thanks
right.
for all you do, man.
Are
Good
you
night, man.
first time caller?
Not, I called in last time, man. I'm always a frequent listener, man. Love the show, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Go Raptors, go.
Go Raptors, go, man. All right. Okay, we're gonna go to the post game live, and then we're gonna get to Tetrahedragon and Deep, and we might run a couple polls while we're at it. Please feel free to. I mean, thank you so much already to the super chats. I really appreciate it. Nadeem C saying, "Love this show." Thank you so much. Jonathan Savoy saying, "Appreciate the video breakdown so soon after the game. Learning a lot from them. That's great. That's why we do it." And Zero Sum, do you think Darko is forcing Scottie to drive and facilitate rather than take jump shots? He looks like a completely different player from preseason. No, I don't think so. I don't think Darko is forcing him to do that at all. Okay, let's get to the post game. I hope this video loaded up. I just want to say quickly, I've been following Jamison Battle a little while on IG. He's awesome. His trainer's awesome. They have really prepared for this moment. And trust me when I tell you, they identified a steal here. I don't say it point blank, period, steal. Okay. Didn't blow me away in Summer League, but when I started to see the work they were putting in and I saw the growth from, again, prior to Ohio State, through Ohio State to the NBA level now, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to be like a lights out shooter for the G League. And when we saw it in preseason, he's getting minutes against NBA competition, and I saw that shot was fast enough to get off at the NBA level. I was like, oh my God, him going off like this was awesome. You need a player like this. Do you know how long we've been looking for a player like this? Oh my God, we had so many prospects not work out in Toronto Raptor land. To have so many who have a chance, it just feels like
It feels like Christmas, man. It feels like Christmas. I gotta be honest. It feels like Christmas. SP saying, do you think he can be a Wesley Matthews type? Hmm. That's interesting. I don't really see that, but it's very interesting. But definitely go follow Jamison Battle, Battle Time 10. A lot of these players who bounce around at different college levels maybe weren't the biggest, highly recruited, hoop diamonds and whatever, weren't hyping them up. They didn't rack up the thousands and thousands. But please believe me that every single player is a brand, and every one of these young men will appreciate if you support them, because as they get more followers, they're going to be able to get more sponsorships. They're going to be able to get more endorsements. And, this is a very player first, player leaning podcast. So I'd like to give a shout out to Jamison Battle on Instagram. All right. Okay. we got two callers lined up here. Let us pull this off. Let's get Deep on. Deep, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How's it going?
Not too bad. I was trying to pull up the Scottie Barnes winning a chain video, but I can't seem to quite get the screen going. But yeah,
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought Mogbo would be getting the chain,
well, the chain is
but
a motivational tool, so that kind of gives you an idea of where things are in the
mhm,
Raptors locker room right now. But I'm sure Jonathan will have plenty of chances to win it throughout the year. He's exactly like, you might as well just give him the chain and have
mhm.
him keep it, because he's the type of guy that should win a chain every single night. He just goes out and competes. But yeah, what'd you think of the game? Any observations?
So yeah, I have to tell you, like I watched the game with my dad, and he's not super into basketball in general and Raptors in general. He just knew that for the last couple of years they haven't been doing so hot. So when he was watching the game, he was watching a lot of Shed's plays, and then I just casually asked him like, "What year do you think this guy is in?" And he said like year two, year one. And then when I told him it's a second NBA game, he was so surprised. Yeah, the game overall, it looked it looked ugly, but it was fun. And it's what you were saying before, like the style of play, the style of basketball that's being played. It's
Mhm.
fun to watch. I actually really enjoyed just watching the game, even though it was like some of the plays were a little bit excruciating. I would say that it was still fun and engaging.
I completely agree. Yeah, I think like, this is a hard nosed city. This is a hockey town, as much as
Hmm.
it bothers me sometimes, it is what it is. This is a hockey town. And this is a town that is going to get behind a team that works hard. When I think about the We the North Raptors, I think about, like, people really do forget how that team started. And I don't need to give anyone a history lesson, because I'm assuming a lot of people in here do remember how that team started. But it started like this. It started with a lot of connectivity. It started with a lot of passing. It started with a lot of team. It started with a lot of Patrick Patterson performance tonight. Gravis Vasquez, huge game tonight. Kyle Lowry with a huge game. It didn't start with one guy being drafted, a tank successfully. This has never been the model for Raptors success. It's never been like this. And
Um,
seeing a Jamison Battle come up like this, seeing a Jamal Shead, it gives you shades of that. And it was so
mhm,
ironic because, Nick Nurse was there through so much of We the North, right? He was an assistant coach first for 5 years,
yeah.
then he became the head coach for 5 years, 10 years. He oversaw the whole thing. And tonight, I think he saw probably it was like a bit of a, then and now moment. I wonder if he and
Mhm.
Kyle saw, oh, this is what we started too. Like, we started something like this too. We were the scrappy team. We were the underdogs. We were the
Yeah.
team that played 10 deep, you know? Yeah.
I have a question for you. So we saw how Yak played last game,
Mhm.
and it was kind of like a bounce back this game. But I was zoning in and out of the game, and the two plays that I did see were him getting his ball stripped away. I think particularly by what you're calling the best rebounder of all time. Um, I saw those. I was a little concerned, but then I think I looked at the box score, and those the two turnovers were the only turnovers that he got. What do you think of his game,
Whose game specifically?
Jakob Poeltl?
Jakob Poeltl's. I thought he was much better. I thought he was much better, overall. Um, Honestly, I wasn't honing in on him as much today, and that's probably a good thing. my eyes usually tend to hone in on the best and worst parts of what's going on the floor. And there's only so much that you can glean in real time. Like you'd have to go back, and even coaches who are sitting there courtside will have to go back and watch the film to dissect every single player's impact. I was more watching for the young kids. I was more watching for Scottie because, yeah. So in terms of Yak's off-ball movement, screen setting, I think everything was decent. He didn't have 5 turnovers today. I think that's progress. He's been really sloppy with the basketball. Overall, he's been really sloppy. What did you think of the game from him?
Yeah, I thought he was good around the rim, but yeah, like you said, he had been sloppy with the basketball, like especially like right up top. He got two times he got the ball stripped away, and it was by what's his name? Draymond, not Draymond,
Andre Drummond.
Drummond. And I was like, that can't happen. I don't know. But then other than that, like I thought, yeah, like you said, it wasn't very noticeable what he was doing, and probably that's a good thing. Yeah, I liked it. I was probably focused on the new guys as well, which is great.
Yeah, it's really difficult, when you're watching something in real time because you're balancing so many things. Number one, you're balancing your preoccupation with the score, right? You're like, oh, you want to be a fan. Like I know I have to watch these with a critical eye towards what's actually happening so that I can come on here and not talk absolute nonsense for an hour. That would suck, right? So you want to have like insights, you want to be able to have like a real understanding, segments, plays that stick out. But of course, in real time, you're also wanting to be a fan. I wanted the Raptors to win tonight. So yeah, it's balancing some things out. So I'll be really happy to go back and watch this game again, and specifically watch for Jakob Poeltl and to see if he's cleaned up some of the stuff. But yes, it looked a little bit better than it did, and I really liked his defense on the back line. It was good. Yeah.
There's one thing that I want to kind of highlight here. So, honestly, I don't watch a lot of I haven't played basketball. I don't play sports. Raptors are probably the only ones that I like, the games that I watch. So this show provides a lot of insight into how basketball is played. So like when I was watching the game, to me, I was like, oh yeah, Chris Boucher is doing fine. He's doing good. And then when I started watching your stream, you kind of pointed out in that video session the opportunity that was there for him to pass, but he shot the ball. And if I didn't see your video, I would not have thought of that at all. So I do appreciate what you're kind of highlighting there, like the underlying basketball plays and trying to make me see, like, and other people see how basketball is played. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
I really appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, and I mean, this is not to say that Chris had a bad game by any stretch. He had a perfectly fine game. The good significantly outweighed the bad tonight, And you take good and bad. I mean, if I wanted to hone in on Scottie's 10, 12 worst plays tonight, I could make him look like the worst player in the world, because he made 12 mistakes tonight in terms of rotations, in terms of passes, in terms of something that he might have missed. Of course, though, there are certain players like Chris and Bruno who make maybe more obvious passes, more obvious mistakes. And unfortunately, sometimes the mistake you make is exacerbated by the advantage you generate for the other team. So when you make a mistake, like you don't get back and, it's a dunk, and then it gets the crowd really, really motivated on the road, then it starts to feel like, oh no, like you were the start of a 10-0 run for the other team, And Chris Boucher, unfortunately, very often when I watch him, is usually like he's like all gas, no brakes, right? Like he's either going to be a 10-0 run for you or a 10-0 run for the other team, and you really don't know which one it's going to be. And when it's a 10-0 run for you, you love him, and when he's a 10-0 run for the other team, you hate him, right? So honestly, I've had a few back and forths with Chris on Twitter. I'll say this: I respect the hell out of the guy for working as hard as he does. He's a really hard worker. He's someone who grinds, and I think that his team feeds off of his energy. And it's really hard to be lazy when one of your teammates is working as hard as Chris Boucher. So shout outs to Eric Kareen, who tweeted, "I don't know how Chris Boucher doesn't break in half." That's exactly how I feel every time I watch him play. He's doing things physically that
he fell in a similar fashion too on that one play, like the same way quickly fell, but he just got back up, and I was like, dang. And when I watched that they replayed it afterwards, and when I watched that, I'm like, didn't quickly fall in a similar fashion. and I was surprised at that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. Deep, thanks a lot for calling in, and appreciate. Was this your first time calling in? This is your first time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Call back anytime. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a
Cheers.
good one.
So, yeah. Always really nice to hear from new callers. Here's someone who's not a new caller. Tetrahedragon, how are you doing?
How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
You're a little bit low.
I don't know how to fix that. Let me check the settings in the stream.
Don't worry, I'll fix it for you. Just keep talking. It's cool. We can. I think we can. We can make your mic a little bit louder.
La, la,
Yep.
la, la, la.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Grady. He compared to his defense compared to last year, night and day. Like his ability to just stay in front of guys relative to how he was last year is fantastically better. I mean, obviously he's not an all-star defenseman yet, but he's markedly better than he once was.
Right.
And the other thing I was going to say about Grady was he was being guarded by Kyle out on where he could have taken a 3. And I'm just like, it's like he doesn't seem to understand that not everyone who's guarding him is guarding him. Like if you're guarded by a guy who's 7 feet tall, yeah, you're going to look for the pass. But when you're guarded by a guy who's 6 feet tall, just shoot over him. Because Grady's like 6'10", isn't he?
No. Grady's 6'7". He could be pushing 6'8". Kyle's a really good defender. I understand what you're saying though, but yeah, I mean, respect Kyle Lowry for sure.
Oh no, for sure. But you just hold the ball up. Like he's a lot taller. Like his arms are twice as long.
This is gonna get clipped. Yeah, that's funny. Okay.
Yeah, but the
I'm sorry in advance, Kyle Lowry.
just put your hand on his forehead. Kid. But would it have killed us to have Ulrich play 2 or 3 of Fernando's minutes?
It could have.
He could have given up 4 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, did Fernando have 4 turnovers? He had 3 turnovers. Let's not gas it. I mean, he had 3 turnovers. You know,
it's Ulrich, so was one more.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm happy to have Ulrich come along slowly.
Yeah,
I've been preaching for about a year since Darko was hired. If you remember when Darko was hired, I gassed him up as like this great development coach, right? And I said he's going to be the best for development. He's going to be amazing. And last year we cataloged how great he was for RJ's development, Grady's development, Scottie's development, IQ's development. And we're seeing bursts of that. I mean, like, lest we forget, Emmanuel quickly had like 14 points in 13 minutes in the last game, right? He was on pace for one of those. And RJ Barrett had, I mean, let's just evaluate this for a second. RJ Barrett had 17 points in 14 minutes and then proceeded to get hurt in preseason. Emmanuel quickly had 14 points in 13 minutes and proceeded to get injured in the first game. The Raptors are having some historically terrible luck. Yeah. However, they have a surprising amount of depth for a team that is this young. A surprising amount of depth. And that is a testament not only to the connectivity of this group, but also to this front office, and also for identifying these people, but also to this coaching staff. And I will tell you this, for years, I sat there as Nick Nurse refused to play his bench, and I tried to defend those young guys, whether that was Scottie, whether that was Malachi, whether that was, Delano Banton, Justin Champagny, literally all of them. I felt bad for them because they didn't get an opportunity, and they were maligned and they were criticized for not playing well because, Fred has to play 42 minutes because there's no backups. Now do you see what actually playing your back bench can do? You can give them confidence. You can actually have a Jamison Battle. If a Jamison Battle had played for a Nick Nurse, who we're going to hear from in a minute, by the way, if he had played for a Nick Nurse, he would have never played.
Oh, no, ever.
DJ Carton would have never played. Jamal Shead would have never played. None of these guys would have been activated. And right now, we are having so much data on them, like you now know how Jamal Shead reacts to a 7 turnover game. You now understand how he splits a double, that maybe when you have a full court press that Jamal actually could potentially break it for you in a couple of months. So I just think that you're getting so much valuable data. You're getting, and by the way, Davion and Ochai were not bad tonight. And they
Ochai,
were
I thought was very good.
exactly. I think Ochai was great. Some of the some of his secondary playmaking, some of his rebounding, again, rim protection. He's been awesome. I'm
Yes.
watching Ochai Agbaji play, and you know what I was thinking? If I watched him right now on another team, I'd be like, man, the Raptors could really use this guy. And I was just so happy. I'm like, oh, the Raptors have him.
He's
That's
playing
awesome.
perfectly serviceable basketball.
He's fantastic, and he's starting. So that means he's doing this against starting level players. And they had tall tasks tonight with Tyrese Maxey, and they schemed. And this
The
is
fact
just
that
a
they
team.
stayed in front of Maxey for most of the night was, I mean, Maxey may be a little bit hobbled or something, because usually he would just zip around our guys like they weren't even there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Tetrahedragon, any final thoughts?
Jack, is it me or is he getting tired? Just in general, like he just doesn't seem to have the energy he used to have.
I don't know.
No?
I haven't noticed. He's not that old. Believe it or not, he's not that old. I mean,
Really?
he's older, but he's not that old.
Well, maybe it's just my
and
imagination, but it just seems like what's his name? Who's the other gentleman? Just slipped my mind all of a sudden.
yeah, Matt Devlin.
Matt Devlin. He's having to do all of like Jack's lines. I'm just like, come on, Jack, do your lines. That's why you're there. Say your funny things.
Jack, say your line. Grady, shoot over him. Kyle, put your hands up. God, you're hilarious. All right, thanks a lot for calling in.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
you.
you very much for having me.
Cheers. All right, Nick Nurse. Allegedly, this is something I should be watching. This is something we should all be watching. So let's watch it.
Nope. Go ahead. Nick, what do you think?
I want to be clear. I do not like him. I do not like him. I will not mince words about it. I hold him almost completely responsible for the breakdown of this culture. I absolutely despise some of the quotes that he's had since he's left. I despise his media tour on his way out. And I've had a long time to just forgive and forget with the Fred VanVleet stuff. I still haven't completely forgiven this. So I don't know. You might see me cuss.
Well, I think they outplayed us, Keith. They did. They just were a little faster, a little better execution wise, a little bit better on the glass. I think that we showed a little frustration early again. I'm not sure why. It's a long game, etc. We did get some, kind of early foul trouble with our bigs. We ended up being into some kind of different rotations. I mean, certainly unplanned. Like several of them played a lot of guys in the first half, just kind of trying to get to halftime, and felt we were pretty fortunate, that we got there where we did and we're okay. But just execution and hard play.
How can you get Tyrese going a little bit? The second game.
You know what? This is going to be a therapy session for us. There's like 4 minutes left of this. I just would like for y'all to do what you want to do here. So I'm going to pull myself off and probably swear. And what you can do is you just write whatever your thoughts are on Nick Nurse right now. This is about to get real toxic for the next 4 minutes, and I'll just put them up one at a time. If you want to say thank you, Nick, good luck in Philly. We never did this. Let's do this now. Okay? I'm going to pull myself off. Whatever you think, just write it. I'm going to put it on the screen.
Poor shooting.
Yep.
Do you think it's a matter of trying to press a little bit?
I don't know. I think tonight he certainly had some really good opportunities, right? And it kind of a little bit like the other night, he hit some early, and then you think, okay, he's going to really roll, and you're feeling really good about his shot selection and stuff. There's a couple late shot clock or turnarounds or whatever, but most of them were pretty decent opportunities, and just we want him to take them. Yep.
And I know, right now, especially with you guys being undermanned, it's about finding the right lineups
Yep.
and combinations. Did you like that starting lineup that you had? And
Yeah, it was okay, Keith. I think again we didn't get to use it very long because Drum picked up 2 quick ones, right? And then we were moving and then stuff like that. But again, I think that's going to be the challenge of trying to figure it out. But we got to play better. We're just I just think our execution on the offensive end was really poor, and our defensive execution was average at best.
Nick, when you were in Toronto, you had a pretty strong reputation of being able to shut down the other team's top players. Scottie Barnes obviously had a big game tonight. Sort of what were the biggest challenges you found that they're facing him?
Yeah, I mean, I figured Scottie would have a good game after the other game, first of all, and the big difference for him was we don't quite have the size at that position that he faced the other night, and he likes to shoot over the top of guys, but he did a little bit of everything. He got some jump shots off, but he had a lot of race it down the floor baskets. Felt like he shot a lot of free throws. Right, he got to the free throw line a lot. I mean, he only took 11 shots and scored 27 points. That's pretty good.
Bro, the hate is so real. It's hilarious. I mean, you're asked about Scottie Barnes having a good game. So what do? You mentioned his terrible game the other night, which we are all very familiar with, which you didn't have to. But I mean, it's one of those like, well, I figured he was going to do this. Then you make an excuse for yourself, which is to say you didn't have size. Bro, Scottie was playing with G League talent tonight. You have a 270-pound behemoth in at the center spot. 290 pounds. I mean, you got plenty of size. You got some size on the wing. What are we doing here? You got some size. Tyrese Maxey's hella long. Kelly Oubre's big. Gershon Yabusele's huge. I mean, I get it. You're not Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, but you could give him a little credit. Then he's like, yeah, he got some transition. He's shooting over the top. Like, he's just kind of like, whatever, man. This was not a great game for Scottie. Scottie won player of the game, whatever. Honestly, I think Scottie could put up 50 tonight if he really wanted to, but please carry on, Mr. Nurse.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Yep.
Ugh. All right. Okay. Lyra Alvarez. What's going on? Hello?
Oh, yo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, man. Nikki is salty. Oh, my God.
He's salty as fuck. Yeah,
He
for
is
sure.
so salty. But a question for you about Scottie. I don't know how he got 27. Free throws, sure. His game just did seem like a little bit like Pascal when he does just turn around and the shot clock does start running down. How concerning do you think the next game with Minnesota could be? Like, do you think he'll just get stuck? Do you think, are we just going to need a lot of movement shooters around him to get him going? Like, how do you think next game will look like for Scottie?
So Scottie is just this great decision maker, right? So he's going to find advantages and he's going to extend advantages. He's not necessarily going to make advantages out of thin air from a standstill. And because he's just not quick enough, he's not dynamic enough off the bounce to do some of those things, right? So you're going to need to find a mismatch, which means you're going to have to run a screen or, set a screen. But that means you have to have dynamic offensive players that have gravity and you need some space, Again, tight quarters, full court. Scottie in full court, good luck, right? As Darko Rajakovic is saying, good luck, right? But Scottie in a boxed up, zone, pressuring the middle with a 270-pound, 290-pound dude hanging out in the middle and a long wing defender poking away and everyone cheating off the corner shooter. That's going to be really difficult for him to score ever in that situation. If you've noticed, like, some of the best runs that he went on in the fourth quarter, they were with Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet on the court because those guys can at least clear out some space for him to move around. Some of them were when he was a 5, when he was a small ball 5 and he was playing with Pascal and OG. But again, it's not because he's playing the 5. It's because there's space, because there's 4 players who can actually score on the court with you. And nobody's really stressed at this point about the players he's playing with. The minute you bring Emmanuel quickly, I feel like that's him and RJ. They have a real panic factor to them. Like, I'm not saying they're not Brandon Ingram, they're not Zach LaVine, they're certainly not Kevin Durant, they're certainly not LeBron James, but that just the fact that they are a known commodity as that's a gunner, that's a scorer, that's a guy who can put up 30. That's a guy who shot 40% last year from 3. That's a guy who's above the break, 42% threat. The fact that you can extend the court a little bit, that will create bigger gaps. The bigger the gaps, the better the scoring advantage. Scottie's great at reading all those decisions in the middle of the court. I'm not that concerned, but it's funny
Yeah.
that you mentioned the Pascal Siakam thing. I felt the same way.
I
felt the same way watching
I
him.
felt that tonight. Somehow he ended up with 27, and I was just like, how the hell did that happen, right?
Yeah,
But
I
then
don't. Again,
again,
I'm going to be clear. So this is just for all
yeah,
the people who accuse us of being a super Scottie super fan or whatever. I'm objective about him.
yeah, you could tell.
Very objective.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a great game tonight. He had a decent game. Decent, not great. I guarantee you
Objective.
when we
Yeah.
look at the box plus minus and all the analytics tomorrow, I guarantee you it's not going to flash super positive. Guaranteed.
Objectively, like he is younger than Pascal was, right? Like him,
Way younger.
yeah, of course. So like he'll he'll develop that sense of like getting 27 just like that, cool, right? Like, but then maybe we might be able to see that kind of creation, like not like a PG, but not like a Paul George type of wing, but maybe something. It's got to be. Maybe he gets quicker. I don't know. Like if
He
this
has a lot in common with Paul George. Actually, he does have a lot in common with Paul George.
There was a shorts you posted, right, of him in a training like just run. He was wearing sweats and he seemed so smooth. I was so excited to see that, but so far it's been a little like bump and try to push people into the. It's not pretty, but it's getting the job done so far.
I thought some of the combinations that we've seen so far have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of times where he'll just handle the basketball and he's able to get a little bit lower, and whereas before he was a lot more upright. From a just strictly training player perspective, did you play basketball?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. You still play. Cool. So like when you get low, you have a lot of places to go, right?
Yeah.
That was what our coach used to say. When you go low, you have places to go. When you're standing upright, you're dead.
Yeah. He stays pretty upright.
He stays pretty upright, and that's the problem. So lately I've been seeing bits and pieces of some of that bump stuff that Luka does, right? Some of that stuff where he can get a little bit lower, get into a cross, and then he can change the pace a little bit. That's the thing that people don't really see when they're looking at an athlete. Like, we're great at measuring vertical leap, we're great at measuring wind sprints, we're great at measuring bench press. How fast you stop is the most important thing in basketball. How quickly and how smoothly you go from. So there's a few things, and I think because you're a hooper, you're going to appreciate this completely, and you're probably going to be able to co-sign this. Number one, how quickly do you go from dribbling to shooting is, like, to me, so important when I'm watching a young player. Like, how quickly you can make the transition from to a shot. That's it. That is very slow right now for Scottie.
Yeah.
That's
and
the first.
or sometimes he does go up for a shot, but you can tell he's looking for a pass like that. Like he'll go up, bait a guy into jumping, but he's looking for Jakob like below the basket, right?
100%. So we're
that's
now,
the thing.
it's
Like
mental.
the concern for me is I see him go down and I'm like, shit, he's gonna get injured playing so slow where people will contest because sometimes they'll see what he's about to do or like go into a shot. And then today he landed on his knee. I don't know what it was. Like it was a bit janky, and then he got up and seemed okay. But it's risky seeing that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. And I think Scottie's been like a power player for a while, right? Like he's been sort of like a big wing, big small center, big wing. And I think he just needs to get into the habit of playing free. I just want to see Scottie play free. And sometimes when you see him in the summer and there's no like NBA, players or whatever, he's just playing super free. And he has probably
it for sure. Yeah.
He does, though. That's the crazy part. I've seen Scottie Barnes even like, we're talking all the way back to grade 11. There's been like some smooth moments with his handle, right? But then he gets very boxed in when he gets into an NBA game. And
he doesn't want to create turnovers, nothing like that, right? So he'll try to protect the ball, and it'll get too clunky almost.
Exactly. And Jason Tatum's very similar that way, actually. So Jason Tatum, when he came into the league, he was a lot more fluid, and now he feels very rigid and upright and very robotic. So you wonder, it can sometimes go the other way. So, but I am seeing Scottie transitioning the right way, as in I'm seeing him get more fluid, which is good. I'm seeing him
Yeah,
more fluid since when he was a rookie, and hopefully by next year we'll see even more fluidity. But the important thing is, I know that he can move that way. Like I've seen him in the summer. I've seen him, in private runs where he's very loose with the basketball. Like he's a lot more shifty, a lot more dynamic, a lot of that change of pace stuff. Right now, I think if you want him to explore his his game
Yeah,
and
yeah.
explore his bag a little bit, he's going to have a little bit more space to work with because NBA defenders are no joke. And if you're going to, have a big that is always camping out in the middle, playing with him,
Yeah.
I think he'll have more of a run with, like, if Jonathan Mogbo could just hit threes, man. Like, holy shit, that is going to be such a dynamic
Predator
4-5 type of combo that you could just run off teams off the floor, because these two are gazelles in the
By the way,
front court.
yeah, Jonathan Mogbo. Oh my God. Like his arm length just seemed insane tonight, especially tonight. Like I felt like he was jumping from the free throw line and getting a rebound on jumping straight from the free throw line. And his arms
Did you
just
see the freeze
grabbed that.
frame?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
saw
saw
the freeze
that,
frame.
but plenty other ones where like he was disruptive. Not like he got the rebound, but disruptive that one of the other Raptors would just get the rebound. Like it was crazy. He was contesting things all the way on the other side of the court. It looked insane. Like I was very, very happy looking at that. Looked very good.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah, no, go on.
What'd you think of Ochai?
I like it. Like I'm not scared of him getting the ball. You know what I mean? Before I was
It's a low
very
bar, bro.
I know, like last season, I was kind of like he seemed like he was doubting himself, and we could see that. Like now he seems happy. He seems like, more confident for sure. Like definitely like he'll go for certain shots. He's not passing out, he's not creating turnovers. It looks good. It looks good for sure. Like Norman Powell, I think you mentioned.
Mhm.
I was like, maybe I see a role like that for sure. Like 10 points every night, few good defensive plays. Why not? Right?
Norm
Like
wasn't a
take
great
the
defender, though.
I mean, yeah, that's great already. And I don't know how old Ochai is. He's probably on the younger side, right?
He's 24. He's
Yeah,
24,
great.
going on 25, I think, or he's 25. Point is, people develop at weird stages, and I've always believed that there are certain players that have like a little bit of untapped potential. I've seen a lot of late bloomers in life. I actually have a particular affection towards or empathy for people who blossom later in life. Like anytime I hear like 39-year-old, new artist of the year, I'm like, great, that's awesome. You didn't quit, So when I see someone like a Jonathan Mogbo, who, wasn't a highly recruited player coming out of high school at all, like he wasn't recruited at all. Like we're seeing a guy who in a different world, like again, he's 22. He's not dead. You know what I mean? Like he's 22, 23 years old. A lot of these scouts, they treat these guys like, oh, they're older than 21. Like they're
Yeah.
cooked. But the growth that can exist in Jonathan Mogbo's game is so enormous.
Plus,
He
it's a lot
has
about
so many
nurture.
places to go, bro. He has so much place to go with, because the things that are fixed, you're not taking them away. That rebounding is already elite NBA level rebounder. Elite. He's disruptive as fuck. Like I played hoops and I would hate to play against Jonathan Mogbo. I would be looking over
And
my shoulder
he's
all the time.
he's not stagnant. The fact that he could just run with it right after, that's so good. I mean, that's just so versatile.
He's so quick. When he makes the decision, when he catches the basketball, he looks up the court, and he's probably 2 steps behind Scottie in terms of mapping the court. So I'm not projecting that level of playmaking, because Scottie is really like next level, some of the shit that he sees. But Jonathan sees the game so well as a transition player, and he has that burst, and his handle is very comfortable. Like you're seeing, he's very comfortable with his handle. For a guy who played center and power forward in college almost
Oh,
exclusively.
no way. He played
Absolutely.
center in college.
Bro, he led his conference in rebounds. He was a big.
Whoa. Holy
Yes.
shit.
So he was playing power forward, center, small forward mainly. He wasn't playing point guard. He wasn't playing point forward. And I would say the vast majority of his minutes were, in JUCO, he was a big. He wasn't allowed to take threes. So his game, oh man, this is going to be a really weird example, but one time I went to Egypt, and I remember that there was a beggar on the street, and this beggar had like sort of deformed arms, and someone told me, you don't give them money because they'll just harass you, harass you, harass you. And I thought that was very unempathetic. But then someone gave me an interesting insight into how some people who are beggars, they will actually make their children deformed so that they're much better at begging.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's the
That's
first time I'd ever heard that. And apparently this is very common across the world, that, and I said, well, how do you do that? And they said, well, they basically just put them in a bucket. I think Jonathan Mogbo and his basketball game has been put in a bucket for the last 5 years.
That's a crazy story to go to to loop around to that, but absolutely.
It's the visual is that when I
absolutely. He's
hear
boxed in.
when I hear how boxed in his role was at the collegiate level, when I see some of the stuff that he was doing in JUCO, I'm like, bro, like this is a great rebounder. Everyone saw a great rebounder, and people just said, park your ass underneath the basket, block shots, rebound the basketball for us. And he was so humble that he's just like,
Yeah.
cool, I'll do that because I want to win basketball games and I want to be on this team. But there's something so much more to him. It's similar with Jacoby last year as a scorer. I think some of his playmaking was taken away at Baylor. Now, again, Jamal Shead, what did he say? I wasn't allowed to take threes in my freshman season. You see what I mean? There's a common link. Grady Dick. I think Grady Dick's a way better playmaker than he showed at Kansas. Way better. So I think that the Raptors have a draft philosophy, which is this: find collegiate prospects who were boxed in to a role that does not display some of their gifts, and then bring them to Toronto and unleash all of those gifts
Unleash
onto the world.
Darko.
Unleash Darko and Jama and this coaching staff, because the playmaking that I've seen from Grady, the reads and the passing and some of that stuff, it was not there in Kansas. I mean, like partially some of it, sure.
The finishing as well, like at the rim now,
Oh yeah,
fearless almost.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, again, collegiate coaches are not pro coaches. They have their own job. They're dealing with one and done.
Agendas,
their own agendas. The collegiate coach's job is not to make Grady the best basketball player 10 years from now. You would hope that it is, but he's also got to think about his team dynamic, his team scheme. And that's no disrespect to Coach Self. He's an awesome coach. That being said, Ochai Agbaji, in Cleveland, then when he went to Utah, whatever, like he is not like, I don't think that he's really been given the reins to extend his wings. So, and Davion Mitchell, point of attack defender, let's just a change of pace. But was he ever really asked to work on his off-ball defense the way that he has? Or with De'Aaron Fox in the backcourt, was he ever really given a full run to be a pick and roll ball handler? Or was he, suboptimally used as a corner spacer in a stagnant offense? I don't say the Kings were stagnant offense. The Kings were a beautiful movement offense. But again, I'm open to the idea that all of these players have untapped gifts, and that Darko is viewing them like a little mystery box, like he's just like, let's see what's inside here,
comes
right?
out of you.
Yeah. And I think there might just be a very, very, very special player inside Jonathan Mogbo.
No, this is the place to do it. Like this, they're getting nurtured here. I think Vision 6-9 isn't necessarily gone. Like if you put Grady and Mogbo, Scottie, one lineup, you got Chris Boucher even. Like if we're not putting in, what's his name? Bruno Fernandez. I keep saying Bruno Fernandez as well. Yeah. And then Jakob, like I think we could run that lineup as well, right? Like that's a tall, nice lineup. We could play good defense on that too if Grady gets a little better. And we're not in a bad spot, honestly.
Agreed.
Yeah. What do you think of actually, hold on. So the commentating, I think someone else actually did comment on that. I think it's Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Not until I watched you, I kind of did start getting annoyed of the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Just not commenting on the game, like what's going on. And then Jack, there was an old comment that was made by someone else, and I was just like, yeah, I think I was sitting there and he's talking about grandkids and saying like weird things, and I just felt like I'm very disconnected from, like, I'm watching the game and then he's just kind of like going on the side. did not think that was okay. Really think there should be like a younger voice in there. Or have you seen the commentator for is it the Hornets? His
Pelicans.
energy is ridiculous. Oh
Pelicans.
my god,
Are you
he's
talking about the
locked
Hornets
into
or
the
the
game.
Pelicans?
No, say that again.
Was it the Hornets or the Pelicans?
It was the Hornets, right? Yeah,
The Hornets
LaMelo
have a
Ball,
good.
and he just yells out whenever anything happens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the Pelicans broadcast is probably my favorite broadcast in the NBA. I haven't heard the Hornets broadcast in a while, so I'll have to take a listen. But yes,
Yeah, I think he was a WWE like announcer back in the day, and then
okay,
yeah, he switched
okay,
into commentating. Yeah, give it a watch.
that would be interesting. Yeah, I
All right,
mean, look,
man.
there's a lot of nostalgia with Jack, right? And shout outs to Jack. I'm sure he means well, but yes,
But
I
really,
would.
yeah, like it disconnects people out of the game. For me personally, like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching the game and he's talking about something completely different. And
Mhm.
yeah, it just throws you off completely. Yeah.
He can, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
just happy that he's not being super biased. You know what I mean? Like he's calling the game as he sees
Oh,
it.
you know what?
You want a collegiate coach
Yeah.
to call the game. You want him to be able to, that's a 2-3 zone. You want
There
him to be
was
able to go ahead.
Yeah, no. There was one play. I feel like you might have seen this. It was when Lowry tried to get the ball out of Scottie's hands. I think he fouled, and then there was this technical that got called
Mhm.
back and forth. And you should have heard him talk about that. He called Scottie like little or something like that.
What
Like
did he
very demeaning. It was like a
Did he?
technical, and he goes because Scottie. I feel like Scottie was like pointing at his wrist and going, "Hey, like I got cut because he reached in."
He did.
Right?
I
Exactly.
slowed
So
it
then
down. He did get fouled. Scottie was
exactly.
right to be upset about that.
And then you should have heard the broadcast, and I was like, "You are so disconnected. You like he's pointing on camera, on his wrist, and you're not commenting on that. You're commenting on, oh, that's Kyle Lowry, the great Kyle Lowry. You got to learn better, little boy, type thing. Like it was like little. I heard little, and I was just like, okay, come on, like look at what's actually going on in the game. I felt like he was peddling like this weird agenda. That's what I mean. Like ever since I started watching you, I'm like now tuning in on that as well, and I'm just like,
It's interesting. So yesterday there was a play where Chet Holmgren. I pointed it out earlier in
yeah,
the live. There was a Chet Holmgren block on Nikola Jokic, which led to a transition bucket in which Nikola Jokic was complaining the entire time. So when I posted that on X, a couple of Nuggets fans said, "But Jokic was fouled. Jokic was fouled." And look, Nikola Jokic is one of my favorite players. OKC Thunder are one of my favorite teams. I have no dog in this race. I'm rooting for both of them. If they could both win a championship, I'd be happy. My point is that it was so interesting to see that the Denver Nuggets fans would defend their player in spite of the fact that their player got blocked and their player didn't get back on defense and their player was bitching and complaining, because that's what fandom is. That's what fans should do, right? You should care and you should be objective to some degree, but you should also be supporting your player to some extent. And it was so interesting to observe that. And I just tried to imagine what would happen if Scottie Barnes went up for a layup and got blocked and was fouled in the process and complained to a referee, and his man jumped down the court and hit a dunk. I would never hear the end of it on Twitter from Raptor fans. Raptor fans would be like, he's so immature. He's such a terrible, bad body language. He needs to grow up. He's such, and it just came to me. If you don't like a person, you're going to cover them differently. If you like a person, you're going to cover them differently.
yeah, for sure.
I try to be really fair. I obviously love Scottie. He's my favorite player in the league. But when he's going to have a bad game, I have to try and be fair about it. Otherwise, what the fuck are we doing here? This cannot be Pinsar basketball. I might as well just call myself Scottie Barnes Basketball Fan Club. So it has to be fair. But at the same time, I would love it if Jack kept that energy for everybody. I would love if Jack, every single time a player in Raptors history complained, Jack would be like, no. Leo is weird because a lot of people don't like Leo Routins, but he is remarkably consistent. He hates the same thing every year. For every year I've known of Leo, even I've met Leo, he is remarkably consistent in the shit that he hates and the shit that he likes. So if you take a shot that he doesn't like, it don't matter who you are, he's gonna call it like that's a dumb shot, and you could be his favorite player and he's still gonna call it a dumb shot. I appreciate that about him because he keeps it fucking consistent. And with Jack, there's always a remarkable double standard between the players he likes and the players he doesn't like. And I don't know if he knows this. I hope someone points it out to him someday. But the way he covered Fred VanVleet, DeMar DeRozan, and Siakam, guys that he really liked, and Kyle Lowry, guys that he liked, versus the way he covered guys that he didn't like was so different. The way he covered Vince way back when, on air, questioning his love for the game, on air, saying he's not really a guy who gets in the gym and cares about the game. I don't know. I question if he loves the game. The way he covered Vince, the way he's covered Scottie so far, right through second year, first year. I mean, he really and trust me, the circles that he walks in, those people are like all very bearish on Scottie. So that's his consensus. If all of my friends hated Scottie Barnes, maybe, and I didn't really know who Scottie Barnes was, I'd probably hate him too. That's just it's just yeah. It's very important to once in a while get into one of these rooms, which I have a couple of times, and just get a feel for who these people are behind the scenes, to get a feel for who they like, who they don't like. And that's why I shouted out Kayla Gray, because like that's one person that I'm like, she keeps it real. I really like Kayla Gray. So that's
Very,
one person.
very down to earth, very like,
And you
we're
can
not
tell
just
the
talking.
players love her too. You can tell like Scottie fucks with her, and Jonathan Mogbo is she's obviously interviewed Jonathan Mogbo, and she's a fan. Like, she's a genuine supporter of the team, and she'll call it out. She'll say, she'll tell you her truth. She's not a kiss ass. I like Kayla Gray a lot. So shout outs to Kayla Gray. Women in the media, we need more of that, but she's great. And there's very few others that I would salute like that, but yeah, Jack needs to be better for sure. All right, man. Thanks a lot for calling in. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks. Take care.
Yeah. Crook 22. How can anybody hate on Scottie Barnes? You know what you remind me of? You remind me of Jerry Seinfeld's mother in Seinfeld, when she says, "How can anyone hate him?" It's just sorry. Layne, what's going on, man? Now you can say OH, and I'll oblige.
Deadass, you serious?
Yeah.
OH.
IO.
Oh my god, my day's made. So I wanted to start off with two things. One, I love Battle so much. That man is amazing. And two, when Scottie Barnes went down and grabbed me. Oh.
Do you regret anything that you said about Cleveland?
Not at all.
I'm sorry. Just,
it's okay.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. I'm a child. I'm a man child, bro.
It's okay. We don't even.
I did it for the 432 people in the chat that need to feel this laughter today. What's going on?
We don't even like Cleveland.
Your man Jamison Battle was awesome,
dude. I said it. I think it was after one of the summer league games. I got on. You went live, and I got on. I said Battle is legit. Like, if he has a chance to make this team, he will shine.
You did say that.
And I mean, I didn't know it'd be like this. I didn't.
You didn't have him scoring 8 points in 2 minutes in game 2 of the season and blowing the game open. If Jonathan Mogbo is not my player of the night, he might be my player of the night. It's between him, Jamal Shead. You know what's funny? All 3 of my players tonight would have been rookies.
Rookies, yeah.
All of them are rookies.
Crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, I would say, being completely unbiased, out of the top 15 rookies so far through 2 games, the Raptors have 3 of them.
Right. And honestly, I can make a really good case that Jacoby would be on that list if he'd played 1 second.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Is this true? Is this true that is it true that Jacoby just signed with Jordan Brand? Someone said that in the chat, and I don't know if that's true. I'm gonna check that out. Great for him if he did.
Yeah, no, like, jeez, it's crazy if they reckon. No, Battle was amazing, and then I almost like my life flashed before my eyes when Scottie went down and was grabbing his knee.
Yeah. Holy shit, that would have been really bad. Everyone is confirming that he did, so that's awesome. Shout outs to Jakob Poeltl signing with Jordan Brand. That is cool.
Jeez, good for him.
Big shit, man.
I'm excited to see him on the court.
I'm so excited because, again, I don't know who said it. Somebody said it, and I heard about it, that someone was saying like Jamal Shead's going to be better than Jakob Poeltl or something like that. Yo, like, I love Jamal Shead, but the best version of Jakob Poeltl is going to be a frigging like something else, right?
Yeah.
The way this guy shoots has been awesome. Like, I've seen so many clips of him working behind the scenes. Just sky's the limit. He can be whatever the hell he wants to be. He can be like one of the most dead-eye movement shooters in the league. You know, he's got such fluid athletic patterns. I think he's got really good defensive tendencies and good instincts defensively. I think he's got the length to be able to guard up a position, but he's got the quickness and the hip flexibility to actually guard a point guard. He could be a menace. And now that I've actually seen how the Raptors are going to play, damn, he fits in so well. Having that lob threat, that transition guy for Scottie, and you know what? He's underrated playmaker for sure. So I'm excited for him for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I've done a complete 180 on Masai just in the past 3 months. You know, seeing what he's brought in this draft class is crazy. It's making me believe again. It's giving me legit like 2016 through 2018 vibes, just finding diamonds in the rough, finding guys that are going to make it out the mud. You know, you bring in a guy like Shed, that's just a culture builder right there from day one. Like, he's a leader as a rookie. Like, those guys respect him as a rookie. Like, he's not even a rookie. It's kind of hard to consider a guy like that to be a rookie, and he is. And the command he respects. Like, he played 25 minutes tonight. Your backup guard played more than your starting point guard. I mean, crazy. As a rookie, he's a rookie. He played over a lottery pick. Crazy.
That's fair. Yeah, and he was better. Like, I mean, honestly, like, I don't think Davion was bad tonight. He was fine.
No, neither do I. Neither do I at all.
He was fine.
I'm
He
not.
was fine. But the special moments with Jamal Shead, right,
how much
are
better Shead
so
was.
special.
Yeah, it's just how much better he
Like,
was.
yeah,
Davion,
like I can take like just 2 games. It's been it's been 5 games, right? So it's been 5 preseason games plus 2 regular season games of Jamal Shead.
Mhm.
If I were to compile those moments and build a highlight, say a 10-minute scouting package out of it, you know, the best of Jamal Shead, those 7 games give me more hope than 4 years of Davion Mitchell.
100%.
3 years. So that's where the growth, that's where the conversation needs to start, and pretty much that's where it needs to end. Is there's not going to be a debate, a raging debate on Raptors land on who's better. It's not going to be a debate. It shouldn't be a debate, but it is actually very good for the Raptors that Davion is turning himself into a serviceable player, right?
Yeah.
It's really great. It's great for the Raptors that Ochai is turning himself into a serviceable player, because you don't know if maybe, like, you know, like, you can't keep them all. You're not going to keep every single player on this team. I hate to break it to anybody. When you win a championship, half these guys are not going to be on this team, but they're going to be on some other team. And maybe if they become something for you, you get them on a cheap deal. Maybe like Ochai and Davion are both extension eligible at some point. So maybe if they pop a little bit for you, like maybe you get them on a cheap deal. Maybe you sign them to a, you know, 24, like a 20-year, 20 million 4-year deal. You get them on a discount. You get a nice little cheap rotation piece on the end of your bench, or maybe you trade them. Maybe they are the best sweetener that people can offer, you know, because you're going to trade Bruce Brown or Chris Boucher at some point. Maybe Ochai Agbaji becomes the type of sweetener that teams are looking at like, whoa, that might be worth a first round pick. So it's stuff like that. But I think what I appreciate most about the Raptors right now is their asset farming in a legendary way. Like, I have so much faith in these young players. And if there's one player, like, okay, here's a question for you. Which of the young players on this team is most likely to be moved? And let's just go from bottom to top in terms of most likely to be moved to least likely to be moved.
Got you.
Okay, so what's the most likely to be moved?
What are we counting young? Like 23 and younger?
25 and younger.
Oh, 25.
No, let's put 26. Shit, man, because it's hard because let's include Davion Mitchell in this, because yeah. So it's everyone under 25 plus Davion Mitchell.
Are we talking about moved as in like just the dump them to give someone else playing time, or are you talking moved in like a blockbuster deal?
I mean, just not on this team in 2 years.
Not on this team in 2 years. Davion Mitchell.
Okay. So that is, of course, to say Davion Mitchell is more likely to be moved than Jamison Battle, than Jakob Poeltl, than Grady Dick, and all these guys. Okay, perfect. Got you.
Moved? Okay. Are we talking moved or like cut? Or
moved, cut, just not on this team in 2 years. Just let's go most likely to least likely. I'm trying to see where we are. Jamison Battle, you know, where is Jamison Battle in this?
I would say Davion, honestly, then Battle.
That's fair.
It's hard. It's hard right now. I mean, you kind of have to go Shed next. Like I don't think it's very likely. Then I would go. I'm gonna butcher his name, but Chimche.
Shamshay.
Yeah. And then honestly, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, Emmanuel Quickly, Scottie Barnes. That's how I would rank it.
You missed Jakob Poeltl.
Oh, my fault. Put Jacoby before RJ. Yeah.
Before RJ.
Yeah. I think they'd move off of Jacoby before they moved off of RJ.
Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, that's not how I feel. It's close though. So I agree with you on Battle, but I also don't really see why this team would want to move off of Jamison Battle, which is pretty great because if the second most likely guy to be moved is very unlikely to be moved, that means you found something here, right? Because if I asked you this like 2 years ago, you'd be like, shit, cut half these guys, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I will agree with you that Davion Mitchell is the most likely to be moved. And he has had some struggles. Bruno Fernando is not included. To the chat who's losing their mind, it is definitely Bruno Fernando if he is included. But Davion Mitchell for sure would be the first. After that, I think I'll agree with you that it is Jamison Battle, which is
actually I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's not Davion Mitchell. It's DJ Carton. DJ Carton's the most likely to be gone. Even though I really love his on-ball defense tonight, he doesn't provide much other than that.
Okay, bingo. Yes, good call. Yes, you're right. So DJ Carton number 1, Davion Mitchell number 2, Jamison Battle number 3. After that, it gets very muddy for me. Now, it kind of comes down to philosophy, like who do you value more, Grady or Ochai or Jacoby? And what's interesting is I really do think they can all play together. I think it's a very competent wing rotation. Like it could grow into one. You have enough of it, right? Jacoby's a great defender. Like he can be a great defender. Ochai is a really good defender. RJ is saying he wants to make first team all defense, and I'll believe him that he's going to get better defensively. And Grady's not necessarily a slouch on defense. They're all very different though. They have different strengths and weaknesses, but they're very interesting because they can play together too, right? Like if you played a lineup of RJ plus Jacoby plus Grady, like I could see that lineup working. From a basketball perspective, it's not like they're redundant. They're not the same player. They're not getting each other's way. So I like that. You know, Jamison Battle is a different player. Like he's a player you don't have on your roster from a roster fit perspective. So he also fits into that grouping of this is a very interesting collection of young wings that you have on your roster.
Respectfully, though, too, Jamison Battle is a guy you've been trying to get since like since you lost CJ Miles, right? You've been trying to find a player like Jamison Battle, and you just haven't been able to.
That's a great one. Yeah. I think you're right. CJ Miles is a good comparison, and you know CJ's been doing a lot of podcasting, so I wonder if he'll comment on Jamison Battle at some point because I wonder if he sees as much Jamison Battle in himself as we're seeing.
And truth be told, Battle has more upside than CJ Miles ever had. That's a crazy statement, but I think it's true. I think especially
why do you feel that way?
Rebounding and playmaking. Jamison Battle has like CJ Miles is a super smart player, right? Not saying he's not, but CJ Miles was good for 2 things: corner and wing, right? I think Battle can play in the fast break. I think he can play as a connector on offense, and he gets dirty. He gets down low. He's not just the guy that's going to start running back when the other team puts up a shot, right? He's not just the guy that's going to start running back after your team misses a shot. He's going to get in there, try to get dirty, try to get an offensive rebound. And he's always been that type of guy. Like he was never that guy at Ohio State either that would just run back on the other side, stand on the wing, stand in the corner and shoot. Like he got his hands dirty a lot.
I agree. Yeah, I've been very impressed with him. Like it came on very quickly. First of all, I thought he was older initially. When I saw him in Summer League, I thought he was 25, which is probably a testament to just how smart he is as a basketball player. So I didn't think too much of it. I'm like, 25, undrafted. And then I saw he was 23 and I was like, oh shit, like he's pretty much Scottie's age. And just seeing the release, I was curious to see if it would work out against NBA defenders, and it's working out fine. You know, his release is quick enough. And then I started following him on Instagram and I started seeing the work that he's doing with his trainer. And I saw the seriousness of it. And I'm like, where have I seen this before? Fred VanVleet. I saw this with Fred VanVleet. And I know it's not a very obvious comparison at all. But I think of him as the Fred VanVleet. So a lot of people have been comparing Jamal Shead to Fred VanVleet. I see a lot of Kyle Lowry in Jamal Shead.
A shit ton. a shit ton.
That's so much. Like it's like
Speaking of,
literally. Go ahead.
did you see when they were joking around when Lowry was on the free throw line tonight? That was kind of a cool moment.
I captured it immediately, and I like plan to make a reel out of it. Yes, I thought it was hilarious. Yes, 100%.
Beautiful.
Yes, but with Jamison Battle, like number one, he's got the undrafted thing. Okay, he's got the Fred look. He's got the Fred look down a little bit, you know, and he's got that shot. And Fred's a shooter. Fred was a shooter, right? Like Fred was a shooter, and Fred was a grinder. And you see the way, like the seriousness with which he's dealing with this, and like the battle time. I'm like, man, I prefer battle time over bet on yourself any day. But really, like the seriousness with which he's approaching his work, the that like I'm gonna come and I'm gonna grind it out. I'm gonna do this, and his trainer is going off in some of these videos, and he's like, like this is what we're preparing for. Like this is what we're gonna prepare you for. You want to go make your money. This is how you're gonna make your money. You're gonna make this shot, boom, 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 and then he's like hitting it. And I'm like, man, I've seen so many trainers working out players in my life. This kid feels different. Like sometimes you watch a kid, and I don't know how you've been around this, right? You've been around sports your whole life, and you're a coach. So when you're around a kid who is like hyper into the training, you can see it, you can feel it. There's no darting eyes. There's no like
it's not just hopping in the gym and hucking up threes or doing speed and agility training. Like it's like attention to detail. Like, oh shit, I was 0.2 seconds late here. Oh shit, I felt this muscle was different when I did this. Like I need to tweak this here. Like he's one of those type of guys. Like he's not going in there just taking dry reps or taking reps to take reps. He's going in there with an intent.
I'm glad you brought up dry reps, because we were literally talking about this in the panel the other day about how some guys just come in and they punch the clock. Like they're just punch the clock guys. And when I was watching the OKC Thunder, especially because, getting to know Eric a little bit, getting to know a lot about Casey Wallace, getting to know about like the behind the scenes of the OKC Thunder, even getting to talk to one of the OKC staff members last year, I get a real feeling that they really hate those types of players. Like they will not tolerate it. They don't tolerate it, actually. They will cut your ass. If you're that way, they will cut your ass. Miami's another team that very quickly cuts your ass. If you have that sort of half-assed approach, Toronto is striking me as a team that doesn't have any half-assed players. Even the players that I would argue like I'm not really too thrilled about being on the team, they're not half-assed players. Like they're really dialed in and focused types of players. Emmanuel Quickly is like the definition of like, oh shit, practice. He's the guy that you look over and you've been in the gym for like 3 minutes and he's got a running sweat going, and you're like, bro, like what am I doing wrong that this guy has like probably put up 17 more shots than me at this point, and he's just approaching with such intensity. And the reason that I know that Emmanuel Quickly is going to be so much better than people give him credit for, there's a lot of people trolling me online saying like, come on, Jalen Suggs better than Emmanuel Quickly. I'm like, bro, you haven't seen what you're talking about yet. The reason that I know Emmanuel Quickly is going to be so good is I've seen him work. I see how he's working. I see how he's approaching these workouts, and the same intensity that's in his eyes. And it sounds very floofy until you've been in one of these workouts, you've seen these players grow. That's the same intensity that I saw in Fred's eyes. That's the same intensity I saw Pascal work with, right? That's the same intensity I've seen Scottie work with the previous season, off season. That intensity is very important to me because it's so easy to get into the gym and punch the clock for 2 hours. Just you get up your 200 300 shots, you run your suicides. Shouldn't have said that word on a live stream. You run your wind sprints, and like you just, you know what I mean, like you're just going through the motions. Like it's all, I don't know, maybe I'm taking like 4 minutes to explain. It's like the eye of the tiger, like the old Rocky thing. It's focus. It's like an insane level of focus. And I think like the speed and the force with which you practice, it really shows that Jamison Battle has been like, how impressive is it that he was even prepared for a moment like this? That's the most impressive part about this.
Insane. As an undrafted guy, a fifth-year senior coming out of Ohio State, which, I mean, not to disrespect like the team I root for, but when you think basketball, yeah, Ohio State has guys, but like you don't think like, oh yeah, Ohio State's like one of the top 5 basketball colleges in the nation, right? So for him to come out of a school like Ohio State, transfer in their first 5th year, come out, get picked up when did he get picked up? Like what? Like late May, early June for summer league, right?
Mhm.
Just on a whim. And then you make it out of there. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, he made the training camp roster, but he's just there, probably as a body, right? He's a bigger dude. Let's see what we have, and then bam, he makes the damn team as a two-way. And it's like, all right, he's a two-way. He's gonna play in the G League. It's like, oh my God, no, he's playing legit minutes in the first 2 games of the season, and he's producing in those minutes. And it's something I never saw come. If you would have told me that he made a two-way spot, I was like, oh, that's awesome. He might play towards the, like March, April this year, and then have a chance to maybe make the team next year. I would have never thought he would have got legit playing time this early on.
Well, I mean, it's taken a phenomenal amount of injuries, but I think this is great to know. It's great to know that you can call on this guy. And the thing is, I'm sure that he's going to be better. Like, I don't know a lot, but I know one thing. This guy is going to be way better in March than he's going to be today, based on how he works and based on how he prepares.
Especially
Go ahead.
especially defensively. I saw him locked in at Ohio State. Like, as the season goes on, he gets better defensively. He is going to be locked in.
Great. I mean, he has the size to be a competent defender. I'm curious to see how the does the lateral quickness translate? Does the length translate? I'll be very curious to see that.
Yes, he gets in passing lanes like crazy, man. I'm telling you, he's great on the perimeter. Great on the perimeter. He would guard. I mean, Big Ten's not a joke of a conference when it comes to college basketball.
It's great.
He would guard, if not the other team's best player, their second best player, and more times than not, when you're in the Big Ten, that's an NBA player, right? I mean, he'd take those guys. It's not like he was just standing in the corner guarding, the corner guy, the white guy on the team, just standing in the corner. He's not going to do much except for stand here. Like, he was out on the bouncy, athletic guys, and he did a great job at it. I mean, he's just a hell of a dude too. Great guy.
Is my comparison to Fred VanVleet insane?
Mentality wise, no. I think he wants it just as bad. I think he's a lot more. He's if he does have if he has like 30% of the career success that Fred has, you're not gonna see the self-loathing that Fred did, right? You're not gonna see him make it about himself. He's always gonna be a guy about his teammates and how he can be better. And that's just who he's always been. Like, he was the guy at Ohio State. Like, he walked in last year, was the guy, and you never saw him once in any press conferences. Or, like, I have people that I'm friends with that go there that had classes with him that know him personally. He was never like, yeah, I'm the shit. I'm the guy, right? He was always humble in his press conferences. Everyone he talked to, it was never basketball. It was never, yeah, I'm the guy. It was just down to earth stuff. He's such a good dude, and he's never been the type of guy that want to make something about himself, like, ever. And that's just from a year of him being in Ohio and hearing firsthand experiences from other people and watching pretty much every single interview he did. He's a damn good dude. Like, he has it. He has the personality to be successful.
You know what? Like, Jacoby's the same way. The same way. He was a 5-star recruit. Super humble though, right? I have heard so many things about Jacoby from Eric, from people that were closer to him growing up. Like, I was just very curious about this kid when we drafted him, and now I'm seeing Ulrich, of course, did the interview with Joe Tuamu and how glowingly he spoke of Ulrich, and then of course Jonathan Mogbo is like everything earned, go through the JUCO route. This is the best rookie class I have ever seen in a Raptor jersey. I cannot, and I was like, I'm amazed. I'm amazed because they walked in with nothing. They walked in with a 19th pick and a 31st pick, and they walked out with 5 players. They walked out with 5 players.
Yeah.
That's insane. 5 rookies, and they're all like really something that my God. I'm so excited.
3 of them are the reason why you won the game tonight. 3 of those 5 are crazy.
Exactly. I mean, Jamal Shead, again, all the stuff you hear about him. Look at the humility, coming in. There's none of this like bravado. Like with Fred, right away, it was like, well, they can cut one of them guys. And you need confidence at the NBA level to be successful. I don't know if you need cockiness necessarily. Like, you need to think you're better than people, but I don't think you need to express to people that you're better than your teammates or all that shit, But sure, whatever. Fred made a great career for himself. I feel like Jamison Battle
could have a, I don't want to say all-star or anything like that. That's crazy. Like what Fred did is like the most unlikely thing in the world. But I feel like the reason that I liken him to Fred is because he's very serious. Like he's a very serious-minded sort of person. You don't see this guy joking around in practice necessarily. And that's not to say he can't. It's just his work is work. You know what I mean? Like he's like a Terminator in that sense. Like I was seeing him putting up jumpers, and it was like there's no break of concentration at all. There's no rest. There's no break of concentration. It's like work is work, and that kind of consistency and commitment to your work is going to make you a hell of a player. Repetitions over time. And I am just really excited that the Raptors have identified this in all their players and all their young players. Again, if you go to an average NBA fan right now and be like, yo, I'm a Raptor fan and we got 5 rookies and they're all going to be NBA players, they'd be like, fuck off. Fuck out of here. No way that's happening. I'm pretty sure if it's not 5, it's 4. And if it's not 4, it's definitely 3. And that is a hell of a place to be. That's a hell of a place to be because we got 5 picks coming up in the next 2 drafts. And if this team has figured out how to draft this 1 year, and they nailed it with Grady, and they nailed it with Scottie. Because
God help us. I mean,
so God help us, because
yeah.
I mean the rebuild is going to happen on the fly. People act like draft picks are, you know, draft picks save you. They don't save you. You got to develop them. You got to draft them. You got to scout them. You got to do all that shit correctly. And I think the Raptors have just really shown me over the last few years their scouting is back. Like whatever happened with Tampa and, you know, the bubble and all that stuff, Malachi Flynn, clearly a mistake. Desmond Bane are still on the board. But the Raptors have really found their mojo again when it comes to development and drafting and scouting. And I think this IQ and RJ thing is going to work out phenomenally well as well. So yeah,
I hope so. I'm excited to see this team full strength. I'm not that you want to see a guy fail, but you almost feel it coming down the pipeline. If Battle has another like 3-4 games like this, or not even like as good as this, but you know, like as reliable as this, right? You're gonna see when Olynyk comes back, Bruno get the boot and Battle get that guaranteed roster spot, in my opinion, because that shooting is too valuable to put in the G League or put a game limit on because he's a 2-way.
I agree with you. And I would entertain. So again, if I'm the Raptors right now, Bruno Fernando is waived. Like right now. Like it's 12:57. Hi, Bruno Fernando's agent. Sorry. Nice to know you. You're gone. Jamison Battle. How would you like a 3-year contract? Like how would you like the same contract or 3-year +1 contract? I would sign him to that right now, because shooters are always going to be valuable. And I trust this guy's work ethic. And he's not going to get lazy, and he's going to be really good through that contract, and he's probably going to get a really big raise on the next contract. So right now, the last thing I want, I'm going to say this, the last thing I want is to lose this guy. The second to last thing I want is to have this guy and not be able to use him in the playoffs or later in the season if we become competitive. But the other thing that I would hate to happen is he's on a really short-term deal. He has a huge, you know, a month where he climbs into the rotation because there's injuries or whatever. He shoots like 56% from 3 or something like that. And suddenly he's like, he is exactly what everyone wants to park their mid-level exception into. I'm telling you, this guy, if he becomes a free agent in a couple of years and he continues to ascend the way he's ascending right now, some team is going to put 3 years mid-level, full mid-level on the table for him. So the Raptors have some space right now under the cap. Take care of this guy. Take care of Jamal Shead.
3 years, $7 million right now. Put it on the table for him. 3 years, $7 million. I would give him that today.
I mean, you don't need to. You're bidding against yourself at this point. He's done nothing
You
in the
don't.
NBA.
You don't. But if you get rid of Bruno and you want to sign him to an NBA deal, lock him up for 3 years, give him $7 million.
What is
not a year? $7 million over 3 years.
Okay.
Not $7 million a year. $7 million over 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, no. I understood. I understood that you meant that.
My bad. I thought you meant I thought you meant like that. I was saying like $7 million a year, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm trying to see here the Toronto Raptors salary. I'm trying to see the same deal that Jamal Shead signed. So Jamal Shead, yeah. So Jamal Shead is making one. Okay, so he and Jonathan Mogbo have the identical contract. So Jamal Shead and Jonathan Mogbo have the identical contract. I'll pull it up on the screen right now. And that contract is
It's a team option on the 3rd year, and they become restricted free agents. Yeah, they do. Thank God. So you're not going to lose them for nothing, thankfully, but they do become free agents. So hold on, pull this up. So that's that. Yeah. So what the hell? Oh no. They won't even let me go forward. Yeah. So yeah, I would give him that contract. 100% I would give him that contract.
I think I would too, because here's where I'm at this point. If you tell me the Raptors win a championship within the next 5 years and Jamison Battle averages 15 minutes a game in the finals, I would honestly look at you and say, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I see, it's like, you start to see the floodgates of development coming. You see the guy on the other end coaching his butt off with his little schemes and his and his little zone, and had a real then and now moment. I'm a very happy Raptor fan right now, to see these young kids. Again, I always think about it. Jamison Battle has a fan club. Jonathan Mogbo has a fan club. Every one of these players have hundreds of people in their lives that are rooting for them. They were the stars of their high schools.
Right.
For Jonathan Mogbo, that would be Cardinal Newman. In West Palm Beach, there's probably like a watch party in West Palm Beach going on. There's a lot of people reacting. This is a really big deal. It's a really big deal, and I hope that we can all, as Raptor fans, appreciate that these guys may be nothing to you, but at one point, Fred VanVleet was nothing to us, right? He was just a guy. We didn't know shit about Wichita State, what AAU club he was with. Again, he was a more storied, more decorated kind of college player, right? But I've heard people describe Jamal Shead not Jamal Shead, Jamison Battle as like he's just some guy who just showed up kind of nowhere. And I'm like, man, if you watch him last year, he wasn't a nobody. He was a really good player in college basketball.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, so much for being a weak draft, right? Nameless saying too bad it was a weak draft. Hell yeah, man.
Not for the Raptors. We didn't get that memo.
Clearly. I mean, I'm just so impressed. And usually scouting doesn't work in one class. So I'm having a feeling that the Raptors have, like, I think, it's something I said about Jamal Shead earlier that you really, and it's what I said about the Raptors earlier, when they got blown out last game. You find out a lot about people when they're down. I think you found out a lot about Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster after that disaster class year 2 with Scottie Barnes, in which they lost Fred VanVleet in free agency, fired Nick Nurse, hired Darko, the whole thing, right? The whole 9. They've taken a lot of heat for it, but they are officially back. I think you said it best. Masai's back.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I don't want to doubt him until we see what this core really is. Like this core altogether of just RJ, Scottie, IQ has played what, maybe 10 games, right? Like before Scottie got hurt, like after the Siakam trade, after the OG trade, like maybe 10 games, right? I want to see what these guys look like all together, at least for a full 82 game season. And to be honest, I'm not going to judge this roster until at least midway through next season, because a lot of these guys are first year NBA players. A lot of these guys are playing together for the first time. Like, obviously, there's going to be the fringe guys I want to judge, like Bruno Fernando, right? Like, he's obviously not long term, but like the long term pieces here, like a Grady Dick, like an Emmanuel Quickly, like an RJ Barrett, like a Scottie Barnes, hopefully like a Jamison Battle and Shed, right? Like, I don't want to have to judge these guys for another year and a half. And I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm just going to like be positive about it. Like Scottie comes out, if he comes out tomorrow night and has 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 turnovers, it is what it is. Like it is what it is. There's no reason to judge it. It doesn't matter right now, right? We'll see in a year and a half where he's at. And I know it's hard for people to comprehend because he just signed that big old contract and he's
not on it though yet. I mean,
he's not on it. He's not on.
That's the fairest point to make. Everyone online who says we paid him a max for this, it's like he's not making the max yet. He's making below mid-level exception right now. So treat him like an average player for another year. But when he signs the max, then you can bitch and complain. Oh my God, our money.
He's still learning to be the guy. Like, you look at him, how many times in his basketball career has he ever been handed a team and been like, boom, you're the guy? It feels like there's always someone else on his teams that is the quote unquote guy,
I think he was
even though
the guy
he
for the
be the
Sharks, but
like,
I mean, he wasn't like the only guy for the Sharks. He had Vernon Carey. They were both like really good.
right. But I mean, that was what he was a sophomore in high school. Was he a sophomore or junior then?
I think he was a junior in high school.
Okay, he's either sophomore, junior, but then you get, you have Cade, and Cade's the guy, and then you get the Florida State, and you're the sixth man, and then you get the Toronto, and you have
He was the best player at Florida State, though.
Oh, he was for sure, but he didn't get as many opportunities as he should have gotten. But that's just how college basketball works, unfortunately. I think it's like you've said before, like these guys in college, they're kind of put into a box, and they have to operate inside that box. Like we don't get to see Grady Dick's playmaking, we don't get to see Jacoby Walter's playmaking. Like they have to operate inside a box. Scottie had to operate inside a box.
But that's the scouting advantage of being a sleuth, right? Is you have to know what these guys can do, even though they weren't given a chance to do it, and you have to project, right? Like with how do you project Ulrich? How do you project him as a prospect? He
You don't.
hasn't
You
played
you pray,
anybody.
you pray, but I believe in those prayers. I believe in those prayers. I know you do too.
Absolutely. I have 100% faith in him. I think I have more faith in him than I have in almost any of the rookies. Honestly, I do. I have faith in all of them, but with him, it's like I know it's so far away that I just sound crazy gassing him up all the time, and he'll come onto the court and like commit a turnover within like 12 seconds and then pick up a moving screen and then, probably like get lost on a rotation. But yeah, I mean, that's what scouting is. It's projection. It's understanding what makes people successful on a basketball court and then trying to understand the human being that is going to make it possible for that person to go from step A to B to C.
Yeah.
And I just trust the work ethic of an Ulrich Shamshay so much. You see him
How
when he's on the
long
court
can he be in the G League for?
as long as he wants, a few years. I
Could
think
we keep him down there till he's like 20? Just so he starts
Totally.
he plays every day, and then you get all those reps, and you get up here, and that's when it kind of starts.
That's not what they're gonna do, though, for sure.
Oh, I
That's
know it's
definitely not what they're gonna do, but they could definitely do that. Like they could, and again, like the two-way thing. I would like to say that I am cautiously optimistic about all of these young kids being good very soon. Sooner than people expect. I don't know about very soon. And that's partially because of how the Raptors have approached development. They're saying we're not skipping steps. They're saying all the right stuff. We're rebuilding, blah, 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 blah. But trust me, they are rebuilding constantly. Like they're rebuilding 24/7. You know what I mean? And it reminded me of, there was we created a film festival here in Toronto called the
Mhm.
Penn Dance Film Festival, which you must have heard about last year. And there was this other festival that started at the exact same time as us, and we were bouncing ideas off each other, but we grinded all year. We worked all year. We worked hours and hours. Our team was so hardworking, and they kind of just worked 3 months a year. Yeah, in the first year, it didn't show up, but by the second year, we had lapped them 50 times. Like we were just so much bigger than them, and we're still here 9 years later or 8 years later, and they're gone. That work ethic pays off. That's not me trying to brag about it. It's just it's understanding that the consistency of reps over time creates progress, and the fact that the Raptors have basically been in some sort of extended training camp all summer, it's like number one, they've identified players who are willing to buy into that, first of all, because a lot of players aren't, right? But they're basically treating this like what Bobby Webster said. It's like we're treating this like a college team. We're like a farm. We're like a development farm. We're like, you come here, we're going to give you all the tools, all the resources. We're going to give you NBA, coaching, and we're going to make you a better basketball player. Are you in or are you out? It's almost like that would be the pre-draft interview. Are you willing to work to be the best player you want to be? Tell me what that player looks like. And does my scouting and all the interviews that I have with your family, friends, coaches, etc., back that up that you are who you're telling me you are? And it goes right back to Scottie, 2020, 21, Masai raving about how Scottie brought up work, said the word work or winning and work like 40 times in his pre-draft interview. And, it's like Scottie was drafted on, I think it was like June 2026 or something. And June 27th, he was in the gym. That is what I'm talking about. It's like the rapid acceleration. And that's why he came like,
if you take at the draft, Cade versus Scottie, Cade was a better player. By the time the season started, Scottie was better. That's the work, you know? So it's like it's supposed to take Grady 4 years. It might take him 2 because we're just going to rapidly accelerate. So with Ulrich, it's supposed to take him 3. I think it could take a year and a half. Maybe by next year, towards the end of the season, we're seeing him get like 12, 15 minutes a night as like a backup energy big. And then you can build this roll up from there. It's not like Jakob Poeltl's a spring chicken, you know? You could have drafted the future, you know, the future of your franchise at center. And when you see like how these players, like think about how Jamison Battle meshes with Scottie Barnes. Think about how Jamal Shead meshes with Scottie Barnes. Think about how Grady and Ochai and all these players mesh with Scottie Barnes. They all work. They all work. Jonathan Mogbo works beautifully off Scottie Barnes. Everybody works. It's great.
No, for sure. For sure. I'm super excited about it. I'm super optimistic. And it's great that through the wins to the losses, we're going to have something to look forward to this year. You know, I feel like last year towards the end of the year was really, really freaking redundant and really tiring to watch. But even this year, you know, if we go on like a 5-6 game losing streak, I'm going to look forward to watching these rookies every single night. I'm going to look forward to watching Scottie, right? I'm going to look forward to watching Barbecue, you know, get better, you know, build continuity. And it's not going to be redundant. It's not going to be empty calorie losses. Like these losses are going to be full of reps, and reps that are going to matter a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. So, I mean, that's a positive. It's a real, real positive because a lot of teams that lose a lot, they don't have that liberty. You know, they're just looking forward to the draft, to where I feel like the Raptors, like we're building towards something that a lot of these teams that are just tanking, quote unquote, can't even comprehend.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm so much more optimistic about this team's future than I am about a lot of these young, bad teams. Even though I can see the vision of guys like Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball in Charlotte, and I can see the vision of a Zachary Risa-Shea in Atlanta with a Dyson Daniels. I really believe in those two kids. I think they're going to be really good basketball players. But really, like when you look at the Toronto Raptors, you're like, man, it's like I really trust the pedigree of some of these college basketball players. You know, I trust the measurements on some of the defensive potential. Like Jonathan Mogbo and Ulrich as a 31st and 57th overall pick. Like, how the hell did that happen? Like, how? How does that happen? When you watch these guys, again, their best moments. The worst moments when Jonathan is, you know, when Ulrich is picking up 5 fouls in 10 minutes and Jonathan is airballing threes, yeah, then you're like, that's exactly how it happened. That's exactly how you got lucky with these guys, Rob. Like, come on, stop gassing them up. But when you see the full unlinked potential, like the way I like to judge rookies is I take their best 10 games, you know, and I toss away the rest because it's all garbage, right? And then I take those 10 games and I'm like, all right, can I make it 20 games? And can I make it 40 games? Can I make it 60 games? No one has 82 great games, but can I get it up to 45 good games? And then can I make those bad games a little bit better? It's interesting that, you know, in a typical Scottie Barnes bad game, he would probably he would have 2, you know, and then his good game would be 24. And that's how he ended up at 15. So now his bad game is 9. His average game is a 27. And maybe his good game is going to be 35. That's progress. It's massive progress. It's not progress that people see who live and die on the hill every single night, but it is progress that you see over time. And the work is being put in with Scottie, whether people realize it or not, whether he shoots cold from the 3 or not, you know, for a month. The work is the work. The work has been put in all summer. All these guys, they're grinding. Yeah, I'm really excited for this team. And my final question to you is, how many wins does this team get? Now that you've had a look at them, now that you've had a look at some of the variables, some of the, you know, unforeseen, you know, parts, you know what Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett can do to some extent. How many wins is this team getting?
So I'm gonna put a stipulation on it. I'm gonna say we're trying to win the whole season, right? We don't shut it down. I'm gonna say nobody gets hurt, and I'm gonna say
Nobody
RJ.
more gets hurt.
Nobody more gets hurt, and RJ,
Okay.
IQ, Olenek, and Jacoby are all back by game 15. Okay, is that cool? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. 35 to 37 wins would be my prediction.
Okay, that's probably playing.
And exactly, and I think that's good for the 9 or 10 spot.
I don't know about 9. I think you might just you'll be in the running for the play-in. Like my goal is, do we have are we playing for something in April? You know, like, is there something on the line other than a draft pick? And you watch this team and you start dancing in your head about what a VJ Edgecombe or what a Cooper Flag would look like next to it, and you're like, shit, I get it. That would be great. Fantastic.
It's
But
not guaranteed though. That's the only part where
it's definitely not guaranteed.
not guaranteed. So imagine, I mean, you tank the whole season, you rest Scottie, RJ, IQ, like March 10th, you shut them down, and you do what you did last year, and you just suck. And then draft lottery night comes around, you end up with the 7th pick. Where do you go from there? Because
Well,
now you've
first
already
of
put a
all, I think you just found out that you can't even tank.
yeah, no, it's impossible. You're
Look at
gonna
these players. Look at these players. You're going to tank with Jamison Battle and Jamal Shead. You're not going to tank very well. These are winning players. There's no Malik Williams here.
Well,
You're too
actually,
good.
you can tank with them because you're going to take the better players away from them. It's just going to hurt their development. Like you're going to absolutely kill their development if you take away a Scottie Barnes, if you take away an Emmanuel quickly,
But
because
Emmanuel
not that
Quickly's
they
not
won't be able
playing.
to put
RJ Barrett's not playing. Scottie
right,
Barnes
right.
hasn't played well in 2 games. I don't think Scottie was the massive difference tonight. I think he made an impact. I don't think he was the reason that Jamal Shead and Jonathan Mogbo did what they did. And also, teams can get a hell of a lot worse than what we saw from the Sixers tonight, bro. Teams can start resting guys. If Washington starts tearing it down, oh Lord.
Yeah, I just don't want to lose their sediment over these guys.
Right.
I want positive development around these guys. I want positive reps around these guys, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're gonna be bad, and if you can lose well playing Scottie Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, and RJ Barrett, so be it. Like so be it at that point. Like you might as well play those guys though to get them reps.
Fair. Maybe we should bring Jalen McDaniels back.
Hell no. I might prefer Bruno Fernando.
Tank commanders. They could be co-tank commanders.
Well, Aaron Baines retired.
Everybody
He's
needs
already
to.
gone.
We could bring back Aaron Baines as well.
You know what we should do as a fan base? We need to get one big thank you card and all sign it and send it to Aaron Baines because he gave us Scottie. Just one big old thank you card. I think he'd smile.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, that would be nice. There's plenty of tankers in Raptors history, and none that come to mind more than Aaron Baines. Because really, without him being as bad as he was, and I understand he's a fantastic person, good basketball player, had a great career, but if he had not been as terrible as he was for the Toronto Raptors, and by the way, he was great the year before, just sucked with the Raptors. I wonder why that was. Maybe because not playing with a real not having a real superstar to play off of makes life really complicated for role players. I think maybe that might be it.
I was so upset when we let both Mark and Serge go that offseason. You have no clue. Like we left the center spot out to dry. And they brought in Baines, and I don't know if Baines was a guy that was going to get the job. I mean, this is 2020 stuff we're rehashing now, but
yeah. Anyways, Layne, thanks for calling in. As always, you were the final caller, but great conversation, and very happy for you and for the Ohio State Nation. Probably very proud today.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's great to see it. I won't be long, but like when Ohio State guys would sign with the Raptors, there was always like some hope they'd be good. Like Jared Solinger back in 2016, it was like, please be good, please be good. Sucked. We traded him for PJ Tucker, right? There's always a hope where like maybe I could have a Buckeye on my favorite NBA team. So it's super cool to see that there is one now, and I'm hoping that he sticks. Like I'm praying that he sticks. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, Jared Solinger was not good for the Raptors.
Jared Solinger freaking sucked. He pissed me off.
Yeah. No, he's a really talented basketball player. Just didn't work out with the Raptors.
No, for sure. He just won a championship too.
Where?
TBT League. It's a league every year where there's a bunch of I know Kentucky has an alumni team, Ohio State has an alumni team, Syracuse has an alumni team. It's a bunch of alumni teams, and they play for $1 million. Solinger came out of retirement just for it this year, and he absolutely dominated. And so we got $1 million. So good for him.
Absolutely. That is awesome. All right, man.
Yes,
Cheers.
sir.
Have a great night. Great
Yes,
night.
sir.
All right. See ya. Okay. The closing thoughts of the night. Man, what more can I say about this rookie class that hasn't already been said in this live? Stars and better players in general make life easier for role players. I've found this to be true pretty much across sports, but it's especially true for basketball. When you put a really great player on the court, it makes it so much easier when you're a hustle big or a role player or a connective guard or a shooter to find your space. If you put a Grady Dick next to right now a Jason Tatum, a Jalen Brown, a Drew Holiday, man, he's going to be so much better. You put him in the role that Sam Hauser has, he's going to be great. But he's going to struggle in this situation because there's not enough defense to support him defensively when teams start going at him. And he's going to struggle offensively because he doesn't have as much space to work with. But you give him more space, it's going to get a lot better. So the most impressive thing about tonight for me is not only did you get some incredible performances from three players who should not have been expected to perform this early in the season. I mean, you're a professional. Yes, you say that. Stay ready. You never know when your time is going to come. But everyone says that. But how could you have imagined if you're Jamison Battle, who just got converted to a two-way like a few days ago, how could you have imagined that your opportunity would have come this quickly? Well, you didn't have to imagine it because you've been preparing for your opportunity to come every single day for the last year. And that's why I'm really impressed by those three specifically. They've worked their tails off, obviously, all summer. They're not perfect players. Nobody on this team is a perfect player. I don't think anyone on this team has shown me so far that they're like a top 20 definitive player. I know Scottie, I have him as the 14th best player in the league. He has not looked like it so far. I'm gonna be honest about it. He does not look like he does not look like the 14th best player. And frankly, last night, Victor Wembanyama did not look like a top 20 player. So let's be real about where these players are right now. Scottie was not great tonight. He was good. He was not great. He's going to need to be great tomorrow against the Minnesota team that just beat the Sacramento Kings. I think this Minnesota team is worse than last year right now. They're still connecting. They're still trying to find their place. But this is a team that will absolutely destroy the Toronto Raptors if they don't get some healthy bodies back. If they don't get healthy bodies back, it's going to have to be another game like tonight. It's going to have to be a muck it up effort. It's going to have to be a lot of good playmaking, maybe some lucky shooting, hopefully a little less fouling. And they're going to need so much more from Scottie Barnes. You're going to need like a 35 from Scottie and like 20 from Grady if you want a chance tomorrow. Their offense is not great. Their defense can be suffocating. And Scottie had some trouble the last time he faced incredible size at the rim, right? Which was Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Well, hallelujah. He also had a lot of struggles against Victor Wembanyama last year. That's normal. You're supposed to struggle against these players. That's why they're considered defensive specialists. But for a player who sometimes does not trust his jump shot, it's going to be even more of a struggle because you're trying to get downhill and they're taking away gaps. And you can tell Scottie's had games where you can see like he's trying to figure it out in real time and his brain is almost like lagging. You know what I mean? Like he's so smart. He's such a smart basketball player. But like Nadeem with a question here. First of all, thank you for your super chat earlier. Off topic, do you know the official height of AJ Debonsa? I believe it's about 6'9". He's huge. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up growing to 6'10". So, you take a look at what the Raptors will have to do tomorrow. And honestly, like, again, I've watched both Minnesota games so far. So this is awesome. So right now I've watched as many Minnesota games through completion as I have Toronto Raptor games, which is just weird. Usually there's so many games happening across the league. You don't usually have a chance to do this, but I have had a chance to watch both Minnesota games. I've broken down both Minnesota games. And I got to tell you, like Anthony Edwards' decision making, he can be very sloppy with the basketball. He can be very error prone. So they're going to have to press up on him really hard. They're going to need Scottie to attack Julius Randle every time. Julius Randle is a terrible defender. They're going to have to exploit Julius Randle, period, the way the Lakers did. Unlike the Lakers, you don't have two top 10 players, two top 75 all-time players that can punch those gaps. So Grady's going to have to be very, very effective cutting without the basketball. They're going to have to do something with Rudy Gobert to occupy him and that's hard to do without a Nas read, without a Julius Randle. It's hard to do without the prototype of a good offensive player at the center spot, right? Because Rudy's just going to be comfortable playing drop the entire night. So I think the game plan needs to be hitting more jumpers, taking more jumpers, getting Jaden McDaniels off of Scottie Barnes, and getting out early in transition before they can set up their half court offense. Like if I was a coach, the first thing I'm saying is like, we're running. I know y'all are tired. Shit, take 6 minutes, 6 minute stints. We need to run constantly against this team. Cannot let them set up their defense. And every time we run, get the ball to the side of the court that Julius Randle is on and just run it down their throat. Because on one side, he's gonna score. He's gonna score with the best of them. On the other side, I need them to pay the cost of him being on the court because he is really an ass defender. You're not really gonna make Mike Conley work if Anthony Edwards is given an off-ball assignment. Like, I don't know, they put him on, I don't know, maybe he gets Scottie Barnes. Maybe he wants to get Scottie Barnes. Maybe he's gonna get Davion Mitchell though. And Anthony Edwards is a great defender, but if you give him an off night, that's just more juice for his legs. So whoever has Anthony Edwards as their primary matchup has to be active, has to be cutting, has to be physical. You have to drain him in some way, you know? Liban says, you heard they had 2 Clippers officials at today's game. Yeah, and I've heard 2 different theories about why that might be. Ochai saying Gobert and Jakob washed though. Rudy Gobert is considerably better player than Jakob Poeltl, in my humble opinion. Yeah, you just got to make him work, and your star's got to be a star. On the road, that's when your stars show up. At home, that's for your role players. You got a big boost today from your role players. If you're Scottie Barnes, you need to really thank God for that, right? And you need to pray that your other teammates, your co-stars, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, can get back soon. But your role players carried you tonight. In my humble estimation, you do not win this game without any one of them. If Jamal Shead doesn't play the way he played, if Jamison Battle doesn't play the way he played, especially if Jonathan Mogbo doesn't do what he did, I don't think you win this game tonight without any of them. So any one of them, much less all 3 of them. Shit, without 3 of them, you might have gotten blown out. So I think that it is very important to return the favor. If you're Scottie, this is going to be a very, very big gut check moment for him. You cannot come out passive. You cannot be looking to be patient. You need to punch the middle. You need to be forceful. You need to do exactly what you did to the Boston Celtics. And honestly, I have no idea what game plan he's going to go with tomorrow, how much, juice he has left in his legs. He looked really tired today. Please, let's be fair. He has not played NBA basketball in a really long time. He's still working himself back into it. But yes, if I'm him, I'm like, I've got the game plan. I'm going to take 35 shots. I'm just going to go out slinging. Yeah, I'm going to empty the clip, if you will. Anyways, thank you to the 400 plus of you who are still in here at 1:30. I appreciate it so much. Ochai 34 saying, Rob, will we get draft compensation from LA Clippers in your opinion? We could. Allegedly, the trainer is willing to talk to the NBA about the allegations. And if it is proven, I wonder what the statute of limitations is on when you can retroactively demand compensation for something, right? I have no empathy for the Clippers. The other part of that lawsuit and what he is alleging, again, alleged, if what he's alleging is true, that they forced Kawhi to play hurt even though he had swelling, I would believe that. I mean, I've met a lot of people in my life that are like Steve Ballmer. A lot. Unfortunately, I've been around a lot of them, right? And I'm not trying to cast some dispersions or, pretend like I know the guy. I've never met Steve Ballmer. Certainly, I know a lot about him. I've followed his career for a very long time, but I'm trying to say I've met people like him. I've met people who were like that. I've met people who had like so much money that they were dizzy with it. And they don't really see people like Kawhi Leonard and their humanity. They don't see the people like you and me in the same light. Like they can put on a hard hat and pretend, and they can get into a McDonald's drive-through and act like they're just a common Joe, but they're not a common Joe. They don't think that way. So, the idea that they would even give a shit about being caught for tampering or not playing by the rules. These people don't care about the rules. They've been breaking the rules their whole lives, man. You don't make billions of dollars by following the rules. So Yeah. Yo, Robbie, if you want to have a good laugh, check out tonight's Run It Back Philly podcast. I don't really have the energy to go watch a post game live from the other team, but I think, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Maybe I will at some point. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit tired. I don't think I necessarily had like a lot of high energy in this draft. Sorry, during this live, but I do appreciate the hell out of everybody who stuck around. Thank you to all the callers who called in. Thank you to the super chatters. Thank you to all of you, and we'll have you covered tomorrow. I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna get some sleep because sleep is valuable. I literally streamed for like 6 hours yesterday. I'm a little bit tired. Just like 3 to 5 minutes another time. Huh? Sorry, what? Just like 3-5 minutes another time? I don't know what you mean. Are you gonna You can't buy energy. You gotta get some sleep. Oh, you're quoting Ox. I love it. That's so hilarious. Wait, is that my banner? Hold on, let me just check this out here. No. No, it's not. But that is Ox's banner. Ox always, yeah. 3 to 5 minutes. Just watch whenever you've gotten some sleep. Okay. Okay, man, I kind of want to pull it up. And a part of me wants to pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up because like it's like you've triggered my borderline ADHD here, where I'm like, all right, I need to see what the hell you're talking about because I trust you. And Run It Back Philly podcast. Okay, hang on. Okay, pull it on the screen. I have to download it, share the screen, watch it together for like a minute. All right. Shout outs to Run It Back Philly. And what the hell? Bro, what is going on? First of all, ad blocker shouldn't work on YouTube anyway. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. Wow, guys. Wow. What an incredible start to the Sixers 2024 season. Pretty much as bad as you could ask for the season to start. The 76ers start. Oh,
I had to pull that off because it includes a promo for gambling, and I'm not going to support any podcast that does that. My bad. Okay, I'm gonna have to clip the ending of this video out now. Thanks. Okay, in fairness, in your defense, you didn't tell me to stream it. You told me to watch it. But okay. They're learning about Nick Nurse's minute distribution. That's funny. Liben saying you won't take gambling ad? No, I refuse. I refuse to take gambling ad money. And I refuse to promote anything that promotes sports gambling. No gambling. All right. I'll talk to y'all later, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.